This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the sunrise safari. Now look at that. I know it's hard to believe it's sunrise yet, but the sun has tinted the clouds in the sky just a little bit. I'm Trishala. So nice to have you on board today. Well, lots of exciting things. You know, we found the hyena den, and that's where we're going to head off today. Please use the hashtag SafariLive.
This program
questions or give us any comments, and of course the YouTube chat stream. Thank you so much. Let's be off on our way. See what we can find. Now, it is quite dark still, but it is not very cold, and I love that. It's 22 degrees out here in Djuma, which is about 22 degrees Celsius, that is, and that's about 72 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's nice to be a little bit warmer. Got the trusty spotlight out, and we're going to be looking for some eyes in the darkness. Quite like my spotlight, I must say. I do. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the little hyenas. Hopefully they'll be out. Usually at this time of day, they could be. So how was your guys' day? I tell you, my night was lovely. You know when you wake up about an hour and a half earlier than you're meant to, and you know you can go back to sleep? It was one of those days. So I'm full of beans this morning. Plus I had a cup of coffee. It probably adds to the beans. Now this is a Djuma only show today. So Djuma is the star. And while we're talking about stars in Djuma, let us go to Ali for her intro.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful bumble out in the African bush. My name is Ali, and I'm going to turn this spotlight, and on camera with me this morning is BK. Obviously, I haven't had enough coffee yet. Is that I'm getting afternoons and mornings confused. If you guys have got any comments or questions, feel free to send them through using the hashtag SafariLive or at FC on the YouTube chat. Now, there were reports a little bit earlier about what's the word? Lion vocalization, lion audio coming from the dam cam. So we thought we were going to go down there, take a swing of things, see if perhaps we can hear anything, pick up any tracks, and then why not track our furry friends, see what they've gotten up to in the last 12 or so hours, or, you know, if it's different lions, even longer than that. So I think that's going to be our plan, roughly head in that direction, see what we can find. And then hopefully we'll be able to tell a little bit more. There is a possibility that the Nkuhumas might have returned. I think yesterday after the SABC show, they were apparently still sleeping late into the evening. So who knows? Perhaps they've come back. I do know that the Avokas have been spending a long time up in Buffelshoek with the Talamati pride, because apparently they've got tiny little cubs, or well, two smaller cubs, according to the reports. And I wouldn't be surprised that the audio perhaps is them coming back to just check how things are doing. And if it's another male lion, well, then I think it's going to be quite interesting. Or if it's females, you know, whatever lions are welcome. Just want to have a look, because we haven't been able to hear anything, and we haven't seen any tracks around this particular road where we've been on. So who knows, maybe if we start heading a little bit closer to where the dam cam is, maybe we'll be able to also pick something out. I thought I had heard something earlier, but I often feel like I hear lions and it's actually nothing, and it's a car moving, or I think my brain's just wired to believe that there are lions everywhere now. Which is good, I'm always hopeful, but not always right. So we'll see, we'll have a look, see what's happening around here. Hopefully we'll be able to find any lions. Ooh, especially if they're roaring or just vocalizing in general. It's one of my most favorite things that lions do. It's just such a powerful sound. I love it. But, ooh. Gertel is half a morning of a lady morning at Djuma. So Trish and I are on for the first little bit, because bushwalk, well, it's still very dark, and especially with the threat of lions and other things roaring about, we don't really want the guys to be walking in the dark. and I think maybe Tolly will join a little bit later on. So at least for now, it is a morning, so we'll try our best to get all the sightings already so that the boys don't have to work hard. If they heard me, I'm sure they would push me into the dam. But it's fine, it's all good. It's all fun and games. Now, I don't know if I can see tracks here. It's a little bit tricky when it's dark, and then I've got to do this side motion with the spotlight just to look on the substrate and on the soil to see if perhaps there's anything, because obviously there have been many animals running around and then damaging the road, so it's always good to keep an eye out. Maybe there will be little things, and it's very tricky to go out at night and then look for things in the dark. I actually just I think I'm gonna go on to Central. I think that might be a good spot. And if not, if there's nothing there, then we're gonna go back to Twin Dam, see if perhaps our good friends the lions are down there. Because considering how fat they were after their meal, there's a good possibility that they wouldn't have moved too far. And it was so hot yesterday that I think maybe they would be a little bit uncomfortable to do anything else or to walk too far away. But not too much from here. I just want to see, just in case there is somebody in this drainage line, because I've seen lions cross this drainage line before, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're down there somewhere. Doesn't seem like there's too much around here. Alrighty, tracks, you reveal yourselves. Nothing that I can see down here. Oh, sometimes it's not easy, all this bunging about. Alright, seems like Trishala can't wait to meet some of our new brand spotted little friends, so let's head over to her while she approaches the hyena den.
Yes, I am heading off to the hyenas. Now, I had those lions yesterday, and they did not look like they were going to move anywhere. They had huge, rotund bellies, and they had killed the water buck in the morning. So I hope Ali has a good chance of finding them. And I hope I have a good chance of finding the little cubs at the hyena den. Now, yesterday, Bushwalk, I think Herbie found the hyena den. They could see a freshly excavated hole. They could see that there were tracks all over. And then, of course, they saw Corky. Well, at least Steve definitely saw Corky. And, you know, Corky is kind of like, I always think of her as a mob boss. She's just lays down low, you know. She's got that kind of demeanor, and then she's got power. That thing, she's so stocky and powerful, I feel at least. So there she was, and I can't wait to see her again. And of course, Plonk. Can't wait to see how much he's grown as well. Haven't seen any eyes yet in the darkness. Oh, and yesterday there was some leopard action at the den as well. There was definitely some leopard action there. I think Tingana came past there, and Hukumuri in the morning, but last night Tingana came past, or who they thought was Tingana at that point. And Corky, you know, she's just the mafia boss, so she chased them right out. Still looking around. Oh, of course, I have your favorite on camera, James Henry. Forgot to mention him this morning. It's only out of love, I promise. But yes, remember that it is absolutely live, so interact with us, and I'd love to hear your questions. There you go. Baboon would like me to find some monkeys for him today. Well, I'm sure we could find some. I heard some baboons yesterday, but I couldn't find them once I went looking for them after the TV show. But I'm actually hoping that maybe I'll get to show you some vervet monkeys, because I have so many stories of them at home in Durban. They often come into our homes and steal whatever they can find. I remember once my grandmother, we had the door open and we found food, like, you know, the ones in the container, biscuits and all that on the floor. And then my grandmother insisted it was my grandfather. And they both had a big argument about how it wasn't me. And she's like, no, but it was you. And then we found the monkeys outside holding the biscuits and eating them. Then we knew exactly who it was. So I'm hoping I can find you some vervets, because they are very, very entertaining. And then some baboons as well. Hopefully. Let's see how it goes at the den first. Anything else you guys would like to see? In the darkness, what do you think we could find in the darkness today? There's only a little bit of it left, so we've got to look quickly and carefully. Yesterday, on the way back from the Sunset Drive, or the TV show, I saw 3 genets in a tree. Pretty cool, I think. So that's why I got spotlight out, and I feel lucky. Anyway, while I continue to search, let's go to Ali, who is tracking in this horrible light.
Well, our search is a little bit uneventful for now. We're still looking for tracks or anything that might point to the direction or to a living actual lion. We do know that they apparently like to grow wings, so it's not that easy to find them some days. But no, we actually stopped there by the dam for a little while to see if we could hear anything, and we didn't hear anything. So if you guys do hear anything eventually on the dam cam, let us know, because Tristan is close to camp, so maybe he'll be able to follow up, find them, see what's going on around there. And I wonder if perhaps, actually, after having thought about it, after having had a few more sips of coffee, if it's not the Nkuhumas that we were hearing vocalizing, because all the last times that I've seen them, they seem to be a little more vocal than what they've been for a long time. My guess would be that now that the sub-adults are becoming older, and perhaps getting to that point where they're not going to be sub-adults anymore, but they're going to be considered independent grown lions, perhaps that's the reason why the Nkuhumas are now starting to vocalize a little bit more, starting also as females to advertise their presence in a certain territory, just to make it known that that area is theirs, and then also let know to the males that they are around. So I wonder if that is a possibility we can play with. I wouldn't be surprised that there's a little bit of that, because it's, like I say, it's been strange hearing them vocalize after not having heard them for a while. But it is very cool, especially when all the females start roaring together. It's my favorite to wake up to that in winter. But again, we haven't had any luck here, so I think I might go down Twin Dams in that area, see if we get lucky with anything down there, and see what's happening. And who knows, maybe we'll get lucky even and bump into the mysterious unnamed male leopard that's been hanging around. It's funny how animals, we think we know everything that's going on. So we know that Tingana's around, we know Hukumuri's around, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere this male just comes and keeps reappearing. So for him to have come from there, he must have been around for quite a long part of the afternoon, and then all of a sudden just pops out in frame and be like, hi guys, I've been here. So who knows, maybe with some effort, hopefully. He seems, as apparently said by some people, because I've never seen him interact with a vehicle before, it seems like he might just be a little bit more relaxed with the vehicles. Oh, there's something there in front of us. What is that? BK, do you see those shiny eyes? Just right in front of us. I don't know if it's a bird or a scrub hare, but it doesn't look like a scrub hare. It's a cat. It's a leopard! Hey, Tlalamba! There we go. Hi, good morning. I'm very excited. Well, it does look like Tlalamba. I was thinking that it was going to be a smaller cat, something well, actually my initial thought when I saw some of the spots, I was like, a civet maybe? Because she's tucked in so nicely and so pretty, like a little bundle. are you a little bit cold? Is that what's happening? But whew. Alrighty, Spotlight, thanks for showing us the eye. So now, as you can see, we're in infrared, so I'm not shining the light at her at all. Oh, hello. Good morning. Scratch. So you were here yesterday, and we were desperately looking for you, and you just had absolutely no interest in being part of a TV show, did you? It must be hard being such a little star. Alright, are you going to do a bit of a walk by? Very nice to have seen you. Well, at least it was a good thing that... Ooh. Yes, Lou, you are right. She's got to fill up Hosanna's uncle, half-brother. Strange leopard relationship as usual to Phil on TV. What are you doing, little girl? So she is just in front of us, just in the corner there. So I don't want to move too much because we might give her a fright. And I just want to see what she does because she was coming to smell. Let me just move there so everybody can see her. She was smelling the tires and so on. So often it's not a problem when leopards are close, or lions in general, close to the vehicle. But we try to avoid for them to have any direct interaction with us. It's for theirs and our safety because, of course, we want them to be around and we want them to be relaxed with the vehicles, but there's also got to be a line of respect, let's call it that way. So I thought I wanted to keep an eye on her just in case she decided to feel like a cheetah and then for whatever reason feel acceptable to jump on the bonnet, which wouldn't have been the best thing. No, I don't know where she's gone. She's gone into this little thicket over... Oh, there you are. Sorry. All right, I don't want to move too fast because she is still there. We go. Hello. You can see her right in the middle of the frame. Yeah, I am very excited too that I found little Tulalamba, to be honest. Was not expecting this little surprise, especially because yesterday the tracks went onto Buffelshoek Dam and they went further up, and then it was just a bit of a complicated spot or a very horrible block where she's been hanging in. I mean, horrible for us and Land Rovers, but great for a leopard cub and her mom. I mean, your belly looks like you're not too hungry. You've eaten recently. And I wonder where you're going to go. Leaving all those tracks for us to follow. It's true. It's Monday today. Oh, you see, I forgot. Well, I agree. It's a wonderful start to the week. I'm not complaining. I want to try and follow her on the road as much as possible before we start bundu bashing and going places. So hopefully She is following a very big game path, so I wonder where she's going to lead us to. Perhaps this is where she's been hanging out yesterday and today. Perhaps she went all the way up there to Buffelshoek Dam, and then she had a drink there. She is... Oh, goodness. You've just gone behind a complicated thicket, a complicated spot, but she is still there, and she's smelling some of the trees. Sorry, Vicky, I don't know if you can get her from here. She's straight onto your left-hand side. Yeah. If you look for movement there, you'll be able to spot her there. It's just not the best spot where she's decided to stop. And I've got a lot of trees in front that are going to make it a little bit complicated for us to go in there. So I think maybe a little bit more to your... in the middle here. Yeah, there she is. You can see her moving. And then she's going to pop out to the right. You can see the movement just at the back. There we go. Is this where we're going now? Okay, well, suppose it's time to start bundu bashing then. Try to get in there, hopefully for a better view of her. Alrighty, Wendy, we can do this. Whew. We're going to try and follow her, see if she goes into a spot that's a little bit more open, but let's send you guys across to Trishala for more babies.
Yes, well, good luck to Ali for crashing through those bushes. I'm so glad that there's not many bushes here around the den, because there's nothing like crashing through them. Now, we are around the den now. I'll show it to you just as soon as I reposition. And it seems fairly inactive at the moment. I see no adults around. And if there are no adults around, then cubs won't be out. And we probably won't linger here for much longer as well. But you can see there's the excavated hole. You can see that the soil on the inside, or rather part of the mound that's on the inside, is darker, so we know that it's been recently scraped around. And you can see the bones at the bottom there. Can you see them, James?
Yeah, I can see them.
There they are. So, hey, for all we know, that's probably bits of water buck they've been stealing from the lions yesterday. But this is nice. So now we've located the den, and now we know that they're around here. And I heard that Plonk is quite spotty now. So I would love to see him. Like I said, there are not many adults around. Well, there are no adults around. And we don't want to hang around here too much if there's no adults around, because it also leaves the cubs a little bit vulnerable. They can get quite used to the vehicle, and they can come out and kind of be curious, and then that becomes a bit of a danger to them, because maybe they're not as aware as they should be. So we are going to move on. As much as I wish, really wish that they were around, we are going to move on. We have to. It's the right thing to do. See how I'm trying to convince myself, because I want so desperately to see them. But at least we found it, which I'm sure Jamie and Lauren are very upset about. Just as soon as they leave, we find the den. Yep, definitely nobody around. Yes, at least they don't have to keep looking for the den when they come back, but they must be livid. Do you know that the day that they left, the den was found? Oh, very upsetting. But good for us. I actually think this is such a nice den site, because they have a little mud wallow in front of them, mud wallow, so they can come down and have a drink. Peanuts. A question, but I couldn't quite catch it. It was chew bones like dogs do. Yes, but they do a little bit more than chew bones. They eat them, and they can crush them with their very powerful teeth. And what's quite nice is that their carnassials are placed behind them. They can, of course. That means that they can really crush the bone very nicely, and all that up into them. It's really something really interesting about hyena feeding, and how, well, you know, the female hyenas are often larger than the male ones, and we were thinking about how on earth that would evolve. And then I read that the competition for food, and because the amount of food a mother gets is related to how well she can produce milk, or how much milk she can produce. So the competition comes in there, where she needs more food. She's better equipped to get more food if she's bigger, so she can provide more milk for her cubs. So I thought that was quite interesting. So all of that eating skin and bone and teeth are all related to trying to get advantage over other animals, which I think is quite cool. Let me just... There we go. Yeah. So they'll often eat all these things. See them running away with a leg, eating hooves, nails, all of that. Well, I'm going to keep looking for something spectacular for you all. In the meantime, let's go to Ali, who has a spectacular spotted cat.
Well, seems like Tlalamba is in a bit of a mission this morning. She keeps walking, then she stops, she listens, and then she will do it all over again. So I wonder what it is that she can hear or what she's after. Perhaps she's even trying to hunt something for herself. It would look, according to her stomach, I think it would be an appropriate thought. You see how well she camouflages, though, and how she's using this long grass to pretty much disappear. So perhaps she is looking for different things here. Now that the sun is coming out, it's becoming increasingly easy to see her and to try and spot her, unless, of course, she goes into an area that's a little bit too thickened with too many trees and so on. But for now, we're in the safe. We did struggle a little bit earlier just to try and find her again, because, again, the grass is very long, and although it's very clear on the infrared where she is, and we know now where to look, looking with our own eyes, it's still a little bit tricky because everything seems of a dark color. And, well, in real human lives for now, without the help of the technology or the wonderful technology that we can use. So, for now, I think well done, infrared. Thank you for letting us follow her. Oh. Yeah, I agree. Flies today are unbearable to Lalamba. So many little insects flying around, and I wonder if we're going to get rain, because it feels. Firefly, we do not think that Lalamba is independent from Tandy yet, but I can only assume that she will be in not too long from now. So I think with Tamba, she left Tamba when Tamba was about 1.5 years old, and if I'm not mistaken, and she started mating when Tamba was 1 year and 3 months old or something like that. We felt that it was unusually early, but it seems like that is a good average for Tandy, if I'm not mistaken. What is that? Sorry, I thought I heard something in the direction exactly where Lalamba is listening to. Can't hear anything. But no, we don't think that she's fully independent yet. Tandy seems to be coming back to her with meals or catching something and then bringing her back to the meal. So at least for now, she's considered a sub-adult, so she's almost there, but not quite. I think, well, we saw her the other day on an attempted hunt with the mongoose, and I know that James saw her catch her skills, even though if she gets scared and doesn't believe that she's alone, she's able to do it. But practice makes perfect, and just on these periods where she's left by herself with Tandy somewhere else, perhaps hunting, perhaps getting up to her own thing, then these are the times where she starts developing her own survival skills, or fine-tuning them rather. Where are you going? Look at that head. Tail down, head down. She's trying to make her presence not known to something, although she doesn't look too serious in terms of hunting. She does seem like she is up to something. So I'm going to go forward, because otherwise we're going to lose her. I cannot see any prey species or anything around here, so I'm not too sure what she's up to. Perhaps she's heard something in the distance that made her a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, you are still there. Okay, sorry guys, there's a lot of long grass here. Now, there she is. What are you doing? Where are you going, little cat? So she is just going to the right. Actually, to the left. I was going to say to the right, left. I don't think that's even a word. There we go. We're going to carry on following her around. It does get a little... Oh, there's an impala in front. Okay, I see what you're up to. So that's definitely what got her interest. So the impala is not too far. It is a female. And I think this would be a bit of an optimistic call for Lalamba, but she might be already stronger than what she is. And it's a good thing that she's starting to look at considering this possibility. So she's definitely hunting, or at least she's definitely stalking. Whether she's successful or not, we don't know yet, but it would be pretty cool if she did, because then, it would be like the rite of passage, like her little girl has grown into a big leopard. She caught herself a full impala. The impala is still at a certain distance from her, so she's going to have to work to get closer. But you see how she is making an effort to make herself unknown or not seen. Going down, going very low, the tail is being kept down, and then she's slowly approaching. Now, I cannot see the impala anymore. The impala's I'm gonna say about maybe 15 meters or so away from her. So it's not that far away, or at least the last time that we saw the impala. But I wonder, because I only saw one female, I wonder if perhaps there's not a little baby impala somewhere around that female's is kept hiding. So there's a late flush of impalas at this time of the year, so that could also be a possibility. Although I have not seen anything that would suggest that there is one here. But who knows? The senses of the animals, as we know, are far better than ours. So she could have smelled something, she could have seen something that we don't. And I mean, look at that. Look how she's just disappeared in the grass. So impala, I would say, just for ease of comparison, have a similar eyesight to ours. So you can see, oh, there's another impala there. You can see it in the top middle of the frame. So actually not too far away from where she is. Oh, I just saw a mouth of the impala move, I think. It is somewhere in there. Now, I don't want to move because, again, we don't want to interfere with the situation or anything that's happening. And if there is an impala there, then it's very close to her. So I think we have to give prey and predator the best chance that they can possibly have to resolve this without us getting in the way. I don't know where this is. I did see something moving earlier, so I thought that was the impala. Lou, I think we can, but I think this is still gonna take a while. I don't think she's gonna make a move. Let's see. I just want to see where this other impala is. I want to see, maybe. Let's try with the binoculars, which I've recovered. Let's see. Okay, I can't even see her through my binoculars, only because we know where she is. And only because we know that those dark patches are actually her spots. It never ceases to amaze me. I mean, all she had to do was just get down, go very low to the ground, and then that's it. She's gone. She's disappeared. Let's see. Again, I cannot see anything. If there was an impala there, okay, I see it. I don't think it's an impala now. It almost looks stripy like a nyala. Okay, so it wasn't an impala what I saw earlier. So the nyala is actually very close to her, or a second one. Okay. Do you see, Vicky? Do you see this branch here that goes into like a massive V to a little bit to your left? So yeah, that big one there behind it. That's where there we go. That's where the nyala is. Lalamba. You very optimistic little kitty. Yeah, I think there were two, and then the one moved, and then the other one moved a little bit closer to Lalamba, and now I can see a few of them all around. So it seems like a little nyala herd that it's around here, maybe a breeding herd. And it seems like there are different sized antelope around here. Ooh. I mean, I think a fully grown female would be a little bit too much for her to handle. I don't think that she wouldn't be able to stalk and approach it and pounce on the fully grown nyala. I do think, however, that if she does manage it, she might not be strong enough to be able to successfully keep this animal down. But who knows? Leopards are incredibly strong creatures, so she might have her eyes on that prize or on the smaller one that we can see that is now at a certain distance, a little bit more to the right. But look how clever she is. She's just gone completely down, disappeared. I don't even know if she's there anymore. Maybe she's not even there anymore. I'm starting to doubt myself. Okay, no, I think I can see fur. Oh yeah, it does look like she's still there, but you know, leopards have a funny way of disappearing. I think that is their superpower, their super skill. I don't know, you know, whoever thought of invisibility cloak must have been thinking of leopards. Whew. Unbelievable that she is so close, so close. Now, she's clearly, this is not her first hunting experience, as we can see. It takes a level of skill and of knowledge and of having done this before that she knows that if she just goes in there and then runs at her prey, yes, she can be very quick, and then she can sustain a speed of maybe 98 kilometers an hour for a few hundred meters, but chances are that if she runs at them right now, they'll scatter and then they'll go away, because they can also run and jump very high, the nyala. So I think she's going to try and get as close as possible to then be able to actually get to them or try and pounce on them. I think maybe her eyes are on the smaller Nyala out of the two. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to be able to put the second Nyala, the one that she might be looking at, on camera. And it's slightly smaller than the other one that we did put on camera, so I'm going to guess that's that one's offspring. But I think this might be a game of patience now with little Tlalamba for a while. Well done, girl. What you barking at? You're barking, so if you heard that, bah! That was a Nyala, but it's barking in the wrong direction. It's not barking at Tlalamba. It's looking away from her. So that bark... Do it again. That bark that we heard is an alarm call. So it's the... Yeah, there we go again. But it's coming from a different Nyala that is further behind. So there are a few options. They seem to be looking in the wrong direction. They don't seem to be looking as to where Tlalamba is. And I wonder if perhaps there's not another leopard. Perhaps Thandi is somewhere around. Could be a possibility. Or perhaps the Nyala in another direction has actually spotted her. But I cannot see the Nyala that's barking, ironically, as luck would have it. Whew. What is happening, guys? Okay, so there's definitely something that those Nyala can hear or can see. And they are barking. Tlalamba, are you still down there? Okay. I'm gonna go around, but I'm gonna leave a little bit of space between us and them. So the Nyala, Tlalamba should be there, and then the Nyala we're facing in this direction. And then the Nyala that's barking is actually further behind, and it seems like it's barking in that general direction. So I wonder what's going on around here, if there's not another creature, another potential predator to a Nyala, like another leopard, lions. I'm just gonna see who's barking and in which direction, and then we'll be able to have a bit of a better understanding. I mean, I don't even see Tlalamba anymore. Mika, did you see Tlalamba there? I wonder if maybe she hasn't actually moved and then we have lost her. Let's have a look around. Okay. We all are facing the wrong direction here. So here's a herd of Nyala. There's actually 4 of them. And they were not too far from where Tlalamba is, or where we think that she is now. It could have very well be that Tlalamba escaped and then she's not in there, and that's why they're alarming. And all this while we thought we were looking at it, we were actually looking at the grass. Where? This has become the Tlalamba mystery now. No. We're going to investigate further, see what's happening around here. It's been a bit of a mystery, but while we do that, let's go to say hello to one of Tlalamba's biggest fans.
Well, what a start for the morning for Ali. That's very, very cool that she's managed to find Tlalamba. In fact, we were going to head in that direction to try and find her, but, well, Ali took it from us, and so she managed to find her first, which is perfect. It's ultimately the better thing, is once a vehicle finds a cat, they can stay with it much longer than we can on foot. But anyway, it's a very good morning from myself, Tristan, and David on camera. We hope that you are enjoying the drive so far. We've just kind of started out on our walk, and I'm trying to kind of think about where we're going to head and what we're going to get up to this morning. We were going to go, obviously, like I say, to try and kind of look for Tlalamba, but that wasn't really, obviously it's not on the cards now. There are lions roaring, but the lions that are roaring are way, way, way north of our boundary, so we're not going to be able to kind of follow up on them. So we thought, well, maybe let's head sort of southwards towards Twin Dams and maybe we kind of get lucky with Nkuhuma's tracks. The lines that are calling here, we're not sure if they are the Nkuhumas. It's definitely a pride. It's not just males. So it could be Nkuhumas. It could also be Telematis. It could be the Torchwoods. There's, the 3 different options, particularly that far north into Buffelshoek. It's very difficult to know exactly who it is. And so what we're going to do is, like I said, we're just going to head down towards sort of Twin Dams. At the moment we've just come off quarantine, and so it's basically Twin Dams, and then from there we'll kind of pick up where we want to go and what we're going to get up to. We'll probably look at quite a lot of smaller things early on. It's going to get very, very hot a little bit later. It's a clear day at the moment, and so they say that today is going to be a seriously warm one. So I'd imagine by sort of 6:30, we're going to probably have a little bit of a kind of heat explosion, and that's going to cause all the insects to be a lot more active and not to be sitting as much as they would if it's a little bit cooler. So I think we'll focus on smaller things as we go. It's always a nice time of the year to be focusing on smaller things, and other than that, well, anything that comes our way really. Maybe look for some ellies on foot. They're always nice to see, and we'll try and see if we can find any tracks for any other leopards. There's Tundi ultimately at the end of the day. Hukumuri was around yesterday, that unknown male. Also last night Tingana was on the southern boundary, so it's going to be an interesting kind of thing to see what happened with those. I would actually love to have been able to traverse Little Gowrie, kind of Arathusa this morning, because for me, interesting that we had 3 big male leopards within, I would say they were probably about within 800 meters of one another. Obviously Hukumuri was in the morning, and then that unknown male came in pretty much where he was in the evening, and then Tingana was about 800 meters to the east of those guys in the morning, and he went further south. So there was a lot of big male leopards all in the same place, and there's at some point going to have to be some sort of kind of interaction between them. It just, 3 of them moving around here, there's not really enough space for them, and so at some point there's going to be some sort of kind of interaction, and what that interaction is going to be is anyone's guess. The other thing about it is that with Hosana, it makes a little bit more sense as to why Hosana at the moment is actually not hanging around here, if you think about it. If I was a young male leopard and I had to deal with these 3, I would also probably make myself very scarce for a time being, and see how it plays out. So we'll see whether that's kind of why Hosana left and whether or not he comes back. That's always going to also be, time will tell how that's going to work. But it will be interesting either way. I think it's very, very kind of intriguing that we seeing these animals. The other thing about that unknown male is that it was interesting. I was talking to Steve about it last night. Is that he was saying that unknown male was very, very relaxed with one vehicle, but he said to me as soon as another vehicle arrived, he just went running off. So he appears to be okay at night with one, but after that things start to change. Anyway, we're going to head off into the sunrise. It's slowly starting to come up. In the meantime though, off you go back to Ali, who's managed to relocate on Klalamba.
Well, we did manage to spot her again, but it was not easy. Luckily, BK managed to see her from above, because I thought she had gone somewhere else and we hadn't seen her. So the Nyala have carried on barking, and Klalamba was a little bit silly, and then she put her tail up. So I don't know if the Nyala have now spotted her, but they don't. Nyala are strange creatures, because they're barking, and the one seems to be barking in the right direction, but the rest of them are not particularly bothered about what this one is trying to say to them, as in, like, I've seen a potential leopard, warning, beware. So there's one. Yeah, there we go. She is looking roughly in this direction, but I don't think she knows exactly where Klalamba is, the one Nyala that is barking. She's there to the right. Yeah, a little bit further to the right. There we go. That's the one that's been barking. It looks to be an older female. And yep, there we go. You can see that she's the one barking. I don't think she's fully seen Klalamba. She is barking in the right direction, so perhaps she did see her earlier, but she just seems to be she's not taken seriously by the rest of the herd that's carried on feeding all around. So it's interesting to see it from this perspective. We know that she's seen something, and Klalamba is still there, and she's trying to creep as close as she can to the Nyala. We're actually behind Klalamba, and Klalamba is just slowly moving. Now I've lost her again, but I do know that she's there where the grass was moving. She is. Okay, I can see her spots again. She is. There we go. She's moving there. So she's not too far, but I think it's the last few meters that are going to be more complicated for her to try and break into, to try and approach the Nyala. Have you given up? No. You can do this, Tlalamba. We know you can. The insects this morning are all over the place, and I'm sure the seed grasses or the grass seeds are annoying her up to an extent, so that's perhaps what's happening. The Nyala are not too far, so if she really wants to, she can try, but I don't know if she's going to try and approach from a different angle. Or are you done with this operation? Because, I mean, you did have us hanging by a thread there. I was like, oh, she's doing this, but maybe not anymore. Little Tlalamba, where are you going to go from here? I think perhaps she's done with this process. Well, she is looking in that direction, so the eternal optimist of a cat. But the fact that she has started grooming and then she's walking a little bit higher with her head held up might be an indication that perhaps she's lost interest or she's considered this not to be a great hunting opportunity. A lot of the times when the Nyala or any antelope start barking like that is just to let the leopard know, or the predator, because they also do it with lions, that they have been spotted. So a lot of the time that deters them from actually trying to hunt, because what is the point if they cannot approach them because they've been seen, because they rely on the element of surprise. So I think in this case, the Nyala managed to bark off Tlalamba and keep it at an arm's length. But very exciting to see how well she's managing. I mean, she did all the right things on the leopard book. Get low, don't let them see your tail, don't flick that tail, approach, be quiet, and try to get as close as possible. I think it was just in that little point where she got it maybe a bit wrong. Maybe it was just by chance that this Nyala put its head up and then spotted her, or that heard something, or managed to. There isn't a lot of wind, so I wouldn't imagine that they actually managed to smell her. Ooh, sorry. It is itchy, I know. We've been bitten by mosquitoes and you've been bitten by ticks. Not ideal, Tlalamba. I feel your pain. Although I am pretty sure that I was bitten by ticks yesterday. I'm not too sure how. Potentially looking for you, little miss. I think we can say that she is pretty much done with this Nyala hunt. I wonder if she's going to go back to those pans on Hyena Road, or she's going to stick around here. Sorry, Lou, I only got the half end of that question. Would you mind repeating it? Well, child of the universe, as far as I understand, leopards have, in general, in this area, between a 70 and 80% chance of survival to making it to adulthood. Then from there onwards, their chances of not surviving steadily decrease because there are less threats to them. But I'm not too sure of a percentage. I don't think Panthera has revealed that to us yet, because it will be interesting to know how many young adults actually haven't made it past their first year into independence. But I think the vast majority of them, or at least judging by experience around here, do. I mean, if we think about Tlalamba, Hosanna, Tlalamba not really, I meant Tamba, Hosanna, they have made it. And then we've got, for example, the case of Shongile, which we think might have not made it into adulthood because of a fight with Thandi. Although she is rumored to be somewhere around the Kruger, so it'll be hard to tell with that one. Or you're going to go up on that marula tree. She was looking at it with a nice face, so I was hoping, although it doesn't seem like the most comfortable tree for a leopard to be in. I'm going to try to get a nice look of Tlalamba a little bit later, or we're going to follow her to see if we can get that. But in the meantime, let's go over to the bushwalk who's admiring the sunrise.
Well, good luck. The block gets quite thick. I saw where Ali was on the GPS and before we left for walk, to start our walk, and she's in a tough spot. But you can see David's being very artistic. He's decided that he's going to view the sunrise in a very artistic manner this morning, and it's a beautiful start to the day, except that that sun coming up just looks like it's hot. I don't know why, but it just looks as though there's going to be a lot of heat that's going to kind of fall on Djuma today, and it's forecast that it's supposed to be very warm today, and then it's supposed to rain tomorrow. So the sun is now kind of quickly come up over the horizon. It doesn't take long to rise in Africa. You often just kind of see it, and the next moment it's up. And so very nice to kind of see it rising without any clouds. We haven't had actually a really nice sunrise in quite some time. It's been mostly cloudy starts to our mornings, and then the sun kind of breaks around sort of 7, 8 in the morning. So it's actually quite nice to see that there is some sun starting first thing in the day. Now I'm just kind of sitting here actually looking at the moment because I wanted to see what was on top here, but there's birds that are obviously using this. I mean, this is a perfect place for a bird to sit. So things like starlings and the likes, I don't know if you'll get it from there, David, but if you come this side you can see that there was a bird that was perched here that decided to go to the toilet. Like I say, this is a perfect place for many different species of birds to use. So starlings, you'll find barbets, hornbills, pretty much anybody really, rollers. They like these kind of dead stumps. It means they don't have to worry about their wings getting tangled in anything, and they can sit here and then kind of hawk from here. This particular one looks like it is a fruit eater, not a insect eater, and so it won't be doing much hawking from that particular spot. Anyway, we haven't gotten very far because we just decided that the sun was too pretty to kind of avoid, and I'm quite glad that we stopped because I had a stone in my shoe that was very, very unpleasant, and so I managed to get rid of the stone, which was very nice. David says he's complaining because of what we have over here. So David says that he's going to have to throw his sock away because of this little fella. So this is carrot seed, which is, if anybody has ever worked out here, will know it very well and will be probably one of their nemesis plants during the summer period. I'm actually not sure how many pairs of socks I've had to throw away from these guys because of the nature of how they work. And so you might be wondering, why would we throw away socks because of a sort of helpless piece of grass? Well, it's quite simple. It looks pretty in the sun. Yes, Louise, it does, but don't let the prettiness deceive you. This is a evil piece of grass that is designed to be a sock killer, and so when those socks kind of come through, basically what happens with this is that it's got this kind of, as you'll see now when I kind of pull it, if you touch it like this, you can see how easily those little seeds fall off. Now all of these seeds are covered in a little kind of furry sort of stickiness. You can see how they stick to one another. You have to kind of really break them up, and that then goes onto the socks and just adheres to every single thread on your sock, and to get them out is near impossible. You kind of pull them and you just pull all the threads, and eventually your socks look as though they've gone through a shredding machine. Really not ideal at all. So these guys ruin things, and they are absolutely everywhere. And David says he somehow managed to get some between his gaiters and his boot, and they've just covered his socks, and now he's moaning about the fact that he's going to have to throw away a pair of socks. David, do you have many socks left for the cycle? Because this is what happens for guides and cam ops, is that you come to work and you have a nice fresh set of socks, and you have probably 3 or 4 nice new pairs, and by the time you finish your cycle you generally are down to 1 pair. Where they go, I'm not quite sure. They seem to go on a little Christmas holiday, except they go all the times of the year, and so keeping socks in this camp is near impossible. And so when a carrot seed destroys a pair midway through a cycle, it's always very, very, very soul destroying, because you know that by the end you're probably going to be scrounging for socks and trying to find them. This is cool, look here. So Jamie, tape would be a nice thing to use, but doesn't work, unfortunately. We've tried everything. We've literally tried everything we can. But David, look here. This is the first one that we've seen of any significant size. So there's not a golden orb web, but a garden orb web spider. We've seen so few orb webs over the course of the last few months. And in fact, I actually haven't seen one of the size at all this summer. I'm not sure if anybody of the others, or any of the others, have seen during the course of their bushwalks, but certainly haven't seen any screenshots or anything for a big garden orb web. And so this will be a big female, and she's now spun her web. And the nice thing about garden orb webs is the way that they kind of do their web. You can always tell them the difference between them and the golden orb webs just from the way it's spun. Obviously, the way these guys look is very, very different. But if you notice down down at the bottom here, you'll see that there is a white sort of squiggly marking. Now this is called a stabilimentum, and the stabilimentum, you see it very commonly in these garden orb webs. They do it much more than what the golden orb web does. And also obviously the color of the silk is not the same. These guys produce that kind of white color rather than the golden color. But they're a beautiful, beautiful spider in terms of its markings. I know a lot of you don't ever think spiders are beautiful, but it's okay. I think the markings on this particular individual is always very, very interesting to look at, and they've got this kind of jagged abdomen, and they generally form quite big webs. This particular one is quite small, and they normally do it somewhere close to a pathway. So when there's a pathway, which is quite overgrown now, but it runs kind of to the right of where this particular web is, and as the animals are walking, so they're kicking in the grass, and things like grasshoppers are going to jump up and they're going to hit into this web, and then this spider can quickly kind of come in and grab it and inject venom and then basically feed on it. Now I'm trying to see if there's any sort of males around. Often you can find males inside here, as well as another spider called a dewdrop spider. They spend time in orb webs as well, but it seems as though she's all on her own at this stage. Super, super cool to see them. I'm so glad we're actually starting to see orb webs again. It's quite sort of sad when you don't get the orb webs, and you can see where the anchor line kind of attaches and actually how strong this web is. If you look at the kind of curvature of the sesame, you'll see how this web is actually pulling the sesame and is not breaking at all, which is quite amazing to me. You can see how it's kind of being pulled. The other thing about anchor lines is you can see they are not sticky in any way whatsoever. So it's a different type of silk. This is a much thicker, stronger silk than the silk that we see right in the sort of midsections that are the construction lines. These, if I had to touch there, is going to stick to me and we're going to destroy her web. But she has the anchor lines that she can move along, and then obviously there's this little sticky part in the middle. But very, very cool to see, and she's built it in a good spot. I think she's going to be very successful in her ability to find all kinds of yummy little morsels that are going to be disturbed by the various impalas and other things that move around here. But super cool to see them. Like I say, so happy that we've actually got some signs of orb webs out and again. Right, we're going to carry on. We're going to see what else we can find. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Trish, who's made her way towards Chitwa Dam.
Yes, I am at Chitwa, and I am slightly jealous that Tristan gets to see these wonderful spiders because I do love them. I know it's hard to believe. I know some of you want to get your flamethrowers out, but I do find it hard to believe. Now, it's a beautiful, beautiful sight here at Chitwa, and we have a pair of saddle-built storks here. There you can see what I think is the female. You can see she doesn't have a wattle underneath her beak there on her neck, and her eye is yellow, and I always remember it because ladies like to match, and the yellow eye matches the little saddle from which she's named on the top of her beak. Hey there. Very sweet. Now, they're actually endangered, and I think there's only about 10,000 to about 20,000 birds of these birds in the world left, which is kind of very special here at Djuma to be able to see them quite often. And I think they look quite special too. Hello, you're up so early. Preening. I always loved coming to Chitwa. There's so much happening, and it's always so peaceful. Whenever you should have seen that lapwing kind of dart across the screen there. And if there's one thing that looks anything but peaceful, it's a lapwing. They always look like they have these erratic movements and they're walking back and forth, back and forth. Snoopy says that's such skinny legs. Those are really skinny legs, and they're really, really long. But that's exactly what this bird needs in order to wade through the water and not get any feathers and all of that too wet, and also to have some height so it can go in deeper water to go and find food, which I think is pretty cool. You'll notice that most water birds have long, thin legs. Ah, Crocky. Dr. Rob asks if anything preys on adult storks like this. Well, a lot of carnivores, if they're able to get their hands on something like this, they will. But the ability to actually get their hands on a saddlebull stork, like you can see, she's in the middle of Chitwa at the moment on a little island. So the ability of a leopard or something like that to get it, and her ability to fly, means that it's difficult for like land mammals to get to her. But something like a fish eagle could definitely try its luck there. And I know it looks quite big, but a fish eagle has been known to take down big prey like that at times. And of course, if she's unfortunate enough to get a croc nearby, that's also a bit of a danger for her. See, so much happening at Chitwa. Look at these guys. They would have just made their way back here from feeding the whole night. And I see that testosterone is still a bit high here. You can see them displaying to each other. Anyway, I'm going to hang about here. Let's go back to Ali with beautiful Tlalamba.
Well, it seems like Tlalamba's got the crazies again. She has been just jumping up and down, pouncing on the grass, just having a wonderful morning. I just want to try and go around quickly, see if we can see her around there. Oh, okay, dead tree. I might need to have a bit of a detour. So she was on top of a tree having a blast, but now she's running. Now, where are you? You can see in front of us. I don't want to move because it's such a nice visual. No, stay. She almost seemed like she wanted to jump on that stump, but knowing this crazy cat, I wouldn't have been surprised about it. She is funny. She seems to be more arboreal than some of the other leopard cubs that I've seen in this area when they start playing. So leopards will go up and onto trees because they learn that's their safe spot. But Tlalamba just seems to love going up and jumping on them and then just, hanging, and then she falls down and then she goes crazy and then she goes running and she jumps into the next tree. Oh, now you're going to pretend that you're... Ooh, okay, I see what you're doing. So she is down here and there is a bustard. I can't see it from here now, but I did see it earlier when we were driving. Girl, that tail of yours. That's what's giving you away. So the bustard is actually, I would say maybe about 5 meters from her when I spotted it. There she goes. She's going to attempt. She's going. Ooh, flew away. Well done. Well done. Nope. The bustard's flown away now. I think she's probably going to just give it up. Let's see what she does. Where are you going? All right. Let me go a little bit forward, see what's happening. She is still there, and it's still there. On the road, that's what I mean. And someone's clearly hungry, so she is trying to pull every trick possible in the book to try and approach them. And I think this bustard surprised her as much as it surprised us when we saw it. I don't think she was expecting it to be there because, as I mentioned earlier, she's just been jumping up and down the trees and she's just been really playing. But look at that full-on leopard pose. Isn't that something that warms your heart out when she stands there proud with her tail like that? I think the clearest image I have of a leopard doing that is Hosanna, so well done, girl. Very proud of you. Now, where did this black belly bustard go? I don't know if you can see it anymore. I saw it fly away, so I wonder if it's still around. Extreme biking. Leopards can eat vervet monkeys. I don't think it's the type of thing that they go for often around in this area. But yes, there are images of them eating them. It's hard for them because monkeys are very agile. They have great eyesight and they're often on trees, so they tend to have a vantage point in where they can spot their predators from a distance. But yes, it does happen. It can happen. It is part of the animals that features on their diet, but perhaps not as much as an antelope species would. I think even if she had the chance for a vervet monkey, she might try. It seems like she's getting hungry, so I think she's a little bit impatient as to why her mother Tundi hasn't come and gotten her for any food. But maybe Tundi is busy trying, and who knows, maybe she's managed to make a kill and it got stolen. And it's difficult being a leopard, although you are a predator and you sit on top of the food chain. As we saw now, it's not always easy to approach the prey. They also have very good sense of hearing, good sense of smell, good eyesight, precisely to avoid, or not to avoid getting eaten, but to detect the predators that might be around. So I would assume that yesterday we came to the same area where she is now. Maybe she was doing pretty much the same yesterday, running around, looking for food, then going back down and playing, and just a little bit of everything. Groom time. Talamba, I don't mean to be rude, but if you could just get the crazies again, that would be great, because you are very funny when you become so active. Ravinda, I agree. Tandy has indeed done a great job teaching her all the skills to survive. She is a good mother. Oh, there's a bustard again. Whoop, going behind. No, Tlalamba, you're looking the wrong way. Now it's just behind the trees to the right-hand side of the frame. There we go. A little bit more to your right. A little bit further up. I don't know where you're pointing to now. There it is. To the sort of like 3/4 of the frame in. To the right. There we go. There it is. I wonder if it's going to try. I would have assumed that it might have flown away a little bit earlier, but it seems like, nope, he's just decided to stick around here and see what's happening. A lot of the times they will fly away for like just a few meters before actually setting down and then starting again, because a lot of the times what works out better is just to be able to see your predator and then flying away and losing sight of it, because they might try to reposition and try to get back at you again. But have you seen it now, Lalamba? It's right there. Nope. You silly cat. Chris, I've never seen birds trying to attack the leopards, but I wouldn't be surprised if I have seen bigger birds like Marshall eagles or 20 eagles try to fend off leopards, but I actually have never seen them attack them. So I wouldn't be surprised, like if they have to, they would, but I don't think it's not like they would go and mob a leopard like the drungos do with the eagles. That particular type of behavior I have never seen. Are you playing with the grass? Or are you lying down now? Because I see the black-bellied bustard still there, but I don't want to move in case she wants to try and hunt it again. She must be able to see it because it's right in front of her. Where's your head going? No, you're facing the wrong direction, Tlalamba. She's just become playful, so now she's forgotten all about wanting to hunt, and it seems like this Chloris grass that is in front of her is just too good to pass on a play opportunity. Have you seen it now? Where are your ears facing? Okay, well, now you're facing the right way. Are you not interested anymore? Some chicken for breakfast? No? I think she can see it, but she's maybe just measuring her chances of actually being able to get it. She has been making such a mess playing with the grass and moving everything around that there is no ways that this black-bellied bustard doesn't know that she's there. As a matter of fact, she's not even interested in hunting. She's just playing with the grass. Okay, then. I'm going to try and reposition so we can perhaps get a side view of her, because she's not interested in the bustard whatsoever. While I reposition, let's head over to Trishala, who seems to have a very big to the animal.
And I have Crocky the Croc, aptly named by James. I think it's a little unimaginative, but you know, it's very accurate nonetheless. It's Crocky the Croc. It's just kind of chilling down here, Chitwa. Half exposed, just a little bit to get some of that sun. Very cool. At least out of the range of the saddlewood stork and other birds around there that it might just chomp onto. James says he's been there since last night and hasn't moved. I can believe that. You wouldn't even be able to tell it's a croc if it went by the shape of the scales and the outline that you can see there. Oh, this is very cool, guys. Let's just watch this. So this is a green-backed heron, or striated heron. Donna would like to know how many different animals we see on average in a day. Wow, Donna, it really is up and down. Something like today, oh geez, I can't even answer that question. It's so variable. There'll be some days where I might just see, you know, a couple insects and that at camp, and there's always squirrels around, and birds of course around. But there's other days, like the one day I had Tandi, Tlamba, wild dogs, elephants, and you see all of those big animals in one day as well. And that's besides the little things like the mongoose and the squirrel that you'll also see. So, geez, I can't even put a number on it, but we're constantly seeing animals. Everywhere you look, there's an animal. Now, this guy is hunting. Now, we watched him earlier, and it was so cool. The way he darted in there. He was so fast. So he'll eat invertebrates and fish that he finds in the water. And he catches them very, very interestingly. Oh, look at that. He definitely needs a soundtrack to play over this. He looks so sneaky. Look at the shape of that beak. That just tells you the type of invertebrates he eats, and vertebrates. Raisa would like to know about the water levels at Chitwa, and at the moment it's actually gone down. And it has been a lot higher than this at times. I know it looks really, really good. And even for me, coming back from leave, it looked awesome. But still, it's definitely not at capacity, and it's not increasing either. And with the heat that's coming along this month, especially, it'll probably get drier. And then going into autumn and winter, drier still. Yeah. Oh, fish eagle, I love that noise. Well, Raisa, there's also meant to be quite a large amount of rainfall on Wednesday, so we hope that will fill up all our dams again. Actually, I was really hoping we could come back to me because we wanted to listen to the sounds around here. So let's do that for a minute, and then maybe we'll hear that fish eagle again. Of course, as soon as I want to listen to it call, it doesn't call. Now, they have a really awesome way of calling. Now, you heard the kind of squealy, it's such a hard thing to imitate. I could never imagine imitating it. But they throw their heads back when they do that call, and that's sort of when the thing happens. I know that's horrible. But that's how they make that call. And when they're in flight, they throw their heads back as well when they make that call. I just love it. I think it's so iconically this African or South African sound. Used to hear it in Durban quite often as well. Now we know there's a mating pair around here, and we know that there's a juvenile around here. So they're possibly calling to locate his partner, or even just as a territorial call. Please call for us. No, is it too early? Haven't you had your coffee? Okay. I don't know if this is the male or the female, but the female usually has a broader white chest. Unfortunately, we can't see the front of him or her. So much happening at Chitwa Dam. But I think I might start to move on, although the hippos are starting to fight a little bit. But in the meantime, let us go to Ali, where Tlalamba has been resting a little bit now.
Well, she's definitely been fighting the grass. Seems to be her biggest enemy for now. And she's just being a very funny cat at the moment. I feel like if we could, in a world where this was correct, if we had one of those little sticks that you use with the cat and a bit of string, she would definitely be the one that would never ever stop playing with it. She's been attacking this grass for the last 10 minutes or so. So every now and again she pretends that she's done nothing, and then she lies down, very ladylike, gazes in the into the distance. And then, yeah, like exactly like that. And then she'll remember that she can actually do whatever she wants because she is a wild leopard. So she just starts attacking the grass again, like what she is now. So she's playing with the grass. She's not necessarily eating it. I haven't actually seen her swallow any of the grass, but it's almost like she, the craziest is the best way to explain it, that she wants to break it and then she bites it and then she starts playing with it and then she rolls on it again. And I think it's quite fun grass to play with because of that tuft that it's got on the top. And it's very nice to, it's almost like something that you can actually grab, and then she potentially can feel it when she bites it, when compared to other species of grass that just have got tiny little seeds. You get it. Bite it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at you, but you're being too adorable. Yeah, you hold it, you bite it. A mouthful of grass. And it's funny because she starts playing with it, but it's almost like she gets annoyed with it, and then she gets this vicious look, and I was like, I'm just going to bite all this grass. Doesn't taste that well, isn't that good. Ugh. Typical leopard, when they're trying to get something out of their mouth, their tongue comes out, and then they look so utterly disgusted, like, ugh, what is this? Yuck. Freeman, well, we think that she was born in November. What year are we now? 2017, if I'm not mistaken. And that would make her just over a year now, a year and 3 months. I think that's her age. So she is still a young leopard. She is still meant to be in the care of her mother, when her mother's name is Tandi. But as I think she just smacked her head pretty hard. But as they start getting older, then the mothers will leave them for longer periods of time on their own, and they're very clever. By instinct, they will know where the safest place is to either stay very, very still and not move, go into the thicker grass, or go on top of the trees. And she'll know just by doing that, and she'll survive on her own for longer periods. So it's not uncommon when a leopard is this age to see them for long periods without their mothers, especially while the mothers go out and look for nice hearty meals in the form of a prey species. So if Tandi, the mother, does manage to get something big, then she will come and fetch her, and then take her to the kill. She's been around this particular area for a few days now, so we think that perhaps Tandi hasn't quite been successful in getting something yet, but she did move from another area where she was in. So I'm sure that in between those two new spots where we've seen her, that she's managed to have a good meal. She doesn't seem to be too hungry, so that is a good sign that either she's managed to bring something down herself, perhaps something small, like a small antelope, or even squirrels or mongoose or little things like that, or perhaps even her mom managed to get a small antelope, and then they've been feeding on that, and then she just dropped her off in the spot. And Tlalamba knows just to stick around the rough area where her mom left her. And if Tandi does come back or does come along, she will start chuffing or calling for her, in which case Tlalamba will recognize her mom's voice and then poof, go straight to where she is and potentially be taken to a meal. Because, I mean, she tried on a few opportunities this morning to hunt different things, but I think she lost interest in the black belly bustard. I think that might have been a little bit too hard for her because birds can fly, so might have not been ideal. And she was really, really close to those nyala, but unfortunately they spotted her. So practice makes perfect. She's got it in her. She's just got to perfect those skills. And even for a fully grown leopard, sometimes that happens. Sometimes, or well, not sometimes, and more occasions than not, they get spotted by their prey species, so they've got to abandon that particular spot and then try again. What are you seeing there now? Is the black-bellied bustard still there? It was around a little bit earlier, so I wonder if that's why she's looking in that direction now. She's become very serious all of a sudden. You can see her ears moving. She can hear something. Very attentive. Wonder what it is that you're looking at. I don't think she can hear any lions roaring. We haven't heard any lions roar in all the time that we've been around this morning. There were, however, some lions spotted, or the avoca males apparently, at least one, or well, it's only two, so apparently one of them for sure was spotted up in Buffelshoek, so I wonder if perhaps that's not what we heard this morning, roaring in the distance. Okay, so she's up to something. Tail is that tail that is flicking, moving to side, and leopards often, when they're working something out, where they're thinking about something, then you can see that tail starts moving around like that. There is a pan on the other side of this termite mound, so I just want to go around, see if perhaps she does head in there. Let me just go straight around here. Biggie, just watch out with this tree, because it's got nice, lovely thorns. Seems like Tristan has got some leopard tracks, and I wonder what leopard it is. So let's head over to him and find out more about what's happened overnight.
Well, indeed, and one does need to be careful of trees with thorns. They are vicious and can attack you at any time. You can just ask my jacket that is covered with gaffer tape and to know how bad thorn trees can be. But anyway, yes, we have tracks for a leopard. You can see here. This is kind of a nice set because it's both front and back foot. We often talk about front and back foot tracks, and we talk about sort of size differences between them. But essentially, this back part of the back foot of this set is the front foot. I know it's contradictory, but essentially you've got the sort of toes that are coming around and the pad at the back here. Now you can see that this particular track is very sort of circular in its shape. It's very kind of wide and quite short and stunted, where the back track over here, or the back foot, is a much more kind of oval shaped and much longer kind of foot that you see. Now this particular track, we are 99% sure is from Tundi. And the reason why we know that is generally just because of size. So if we kind of have a look with my hand in sort of next to it, two of her feet are sort of one of my hand, or one hand length. A male track would be much, much bigger than that. And these tracks are not actually that fresh. They're not from this morning. They are from yesterday, sometime during the day yesterday. If you have a look here, you can see there's a bit of scrub hair dung that is not compressed into the track. If it was a fresh track, that would have been kind of squashed in like that. And that would give you an idea that it's fresh. This scrub hair dung has been blown by the wind and is lifted up. There's also some leaves that are on top here. And generally the sort of edges of the track are not crisp and clear. But what's interesting about this is that we didn't see these tracks yesterday coming this way. I know Steve followed them for a little bit, but I don't think anyone actually called in that they came this way. So we might have a little follow and just see. I mean, we're pretty sure that she's a long way away from this area, but you never know with Tundi. She might have killed something, and she just could be hanging around not too far from where we are now. So we're just going to try and follow. It looks like she was going to go there and then kind of turned and carried on further sort of southwards towards Chelapan. And so what I was thinking is that we're going to just have a little look around, see maybe we get lucky, and she's still somewhere close by. I don't have a very good feeling about her being close by, but we'll try. In the meantime, though, back you go to Trishala, who I think is still at Chitwa Dam and enjoying a beautiful morning by the water.
Yes, good luck, Tris. I am so glad that these birds haven't flown off just as we came live, but they are little bee eaters, which are so cute, don't you think? And they're just cleaning off. You can see they've puffed up their feathers, and they want to get in there and preen as much as they can. So they're just cleaning themselves, and then they have a preen gland where they have an oily substance that they can apply to their feathers as well. Very, very cute. I quite like their colors. I mean, all bee eaters' colors. They're just magnificent. And interestingly, the green that you see on there and blues that you see as well in nature don't actually occur as a pigment. And it's either a result of scattering caused by keratin layers that have little air pockets in between, or it's caused by the way that the light hits the keratin in the layers, but it's more iridescent. So that's more something like your starlings that have that kind of sheen to their appearance. But these colors, the green and the blue, are not really pigment, which I think is really cool. When I always used to think of color as pigment. It's just paint, or how you think of paint. But then you realize, oh, color can come in all these kinds of variations too, just in terms of perception and light. R. Lara Moore says it's so charming the way these two are grooming each other. Isn't it just charming? I like that word. I think it absolutely is charming. I like how they kind of wag their tails as they're sitting there too. It's like they know each other. I'm sure you guys do. Gromit would like to know which is the smallest migratory bird that comes to South Africa. Whew. Geez, I don't know. I don't know which the smallest would be. But Gromit, perhaps a willow warbler, but I will check for you, definitely, which one it is. Smallest migratory bird, what a question. Something nice to think about. I'm just going to move a little bit forward so we can get a good view of some birds that are just on our right there. Oh no. Ah, I see you a little bit higher. Yep. There you go. Oh. Oh. Look at that. So it's got the black with the yellow on the wings. And that means it is a black cuckoo shrike. And I particularly like this bird because I think they look so cool with the gape, kind of that orangey. But then now look at what he's doing. It looks like he's got a grasshopper. It's kind of beating it. And lots of birds will do that. And initially I thought it was just to kind of, whack the living daylights out of the prey, which makes sense. I mean, they have to kill it. But it also breaks all the hardy bits inside of it, so it's easy to swallow, which I think is really, really clever. And there's only a few black birds that we get here, so this one's easily identifiable by that orange gape that you see on the sides there, and the little bit of yellow on the wings, well, kind of on the shoulder. But that way yellow is not always present, so the orange gape is probably a good way to go. Seems to be struggling with this grasshopper. Come on, you can do it. Is it a grasshopper? Oh. Oh, that's a lovely shot. I always think it's so interesting. We often see just animals kind of around, grazing, browsing. And then, I mean, pretty much this is a kill. I know it's not as dramatic as saying, oh, a lion kill. But it's also really, really cool because this is how this animal sustains itself. This is what it does every day for its crucial survival. Look at that. You go. You go, black cuckoo shrike. Are you done now? Maybe you can now swallow it. Ah, there you go, see? Beat and beat and beat as much as it needs to. Now, whenever we come to Chitwa, apart from going to the dam, there's always some nice birds hanging about, which is cool because, like I said to you guys, I'm quite enjoying birding these days. Very pretty tree in front of us. Anyway, let us move on and see if we can see any other special birds around here. In the meantime, let us go to Ali, and she has lovely tlalamba grooming.
She did try to hunt a tiny little scrub robin, which I thought was quite optimistic of her, because a scrub robin is a small bird that we get around this area, and it had clearly spotted her, but that didn't deter her from trying. She seems to be attacking now the ticks that might be living on her coat, and she's not too impressed, not too happy about it. Now, the update on the radio on the lions, now that I've got you guys over here, it seems like there are 3 male lions all the way up in Buffelshoek. And as far as I know, the avokas that we get here are normally 2. So it'll be interesting to find out a little bit later what's going on and if they'll be coming down this way or not. In the meantime, though, it's a good thing that they're far away, because then Tlalamba can just be her silly self and then jump up and down and not really have to worry too much about those big predators that might be an issue for her. Now, we know that lions won't actively hunt leopards to eat them. However, if they were to come across a leopard cub, chances are that lions would kill them or at least chase them. So the fact that the Nkuhumas haven't been around all too much has been a good thing for Tlalamba, because it's one less thing to worry about. Although at this stage and in her age, I think that she would still be, unless caught by surprise, then she would likely be able to deal with it, perhaps by either disappearing or climbing onto a tree or just being on guard and staying away from danger. She has survived all this long, and as we were saying earlier, it's not uncommon for them to be left for long periods of time, so they've got to learn and use their instinct and almost their gut feeling. I suppose that's another way of describing instinct, to be able to survive. Oof, I needed to cough. Now it seems like she's calmed down for now. She's doing a bit of a grooming session, and I apologize for the leaves in front of her face, but we are parked in a very tight spot, and I'm not too sure moving is going to solve our views too much. So I'm just going to wait for her to finish with her paw, and maybe she'll put her head back in an area where it's a little bit more open. But if not, it's always very cool just to be able to get a real feeling of what it is like to see a leopard, because sometimes we get really lucky with these beautiful views, but more often than not, this is actually how we see the leopards when out on safari. There are little twigs, little branches, little things in between that make it a little bit harder to be able to spot them or to see them clearly. I'm not saying anything bad about you, I promise you. I was just saying that there was a grass in your face. She looked at me with that typical unimpressed face. Tracy, if I am not mistaken, the tick that causes paralysis in cats is it's from a disease called Ehrlichia. I think I might have this wrong, but I think that is the one. If that is the one, that is not a type of tick that we get in this area. So, what are you seeing there? So they'll annoy them, and obviously temper with their general condition. But I don't think Ehrlichia is a thing that we get in our cats here. I'm just trying to see where she's gone. Seems like she's gone back to the road, so I'm gonna try and go back out there for another view. Ooh, sun's starting to warm us up nicely. Hopefully she'll find a spot where she'll decide to spend the afternoon, or at least the in between the morning, so we can have her for the afternoon drive. Here's to hoping. I mean, it was very hot yesterday, so I was surprised that she wasn't close to a mud wallow or a pan. It seems like she walked quite a distance, but who knows, maybe we'll get lucky. Ooh, where are you now, little cat? Ah, middle of the road. Well, it's always nice when that happens. Carpel, you wonder who my favorite leopard is? That is such a hard question. I don't really know. So Tlalamba is, higher than some of the leopards that I've seen in the past, just because I find her hilarious, and she's always had this bit of a naughty personality, which I love because it's just something different. She's very much always getting herself into trouble. In terms of the leopards that we see around this area, I have an ultimate soft spot for Hosanna because, well, he is Hosanna, and why not? And I really enjoy Tingana as well. I'm on Team Tingana all the way. I do not enjoy Hukumuri. I think he looks a little bit scary, to be honest, so I'm not a fan of him. But I think my ultimate or my most favorite leopard that, you know, she's still high up on my list was it's actually Mvula's mom, Outcrop. So she was one of the first leopards that I ever tracked. And she used to live on the southern side of the Sabi Sand at Lion Sands. And I just loved finding her. And she was such a cool cat. She also had a bit of an attitude, almost like Tandy, where if you approached her and, you know, it was the wrong day or she wasn't too happy or whatever the case, it was always a changing thing, then she would almost like sit there and just hiss at you. So, but she was never too aggressive or anything, and I just found her to be such a cool cat. She was always up to something. Oh, what she's smelling there. So you see that what she's doing there? She's doing the Flemin grimace. So there is some scent in that particular pile of dung that she's picking up, perhaps for another leopard. I wonder if not Tandy was around, or Tingana, or anyone. So what she does is, by doing that grimace, she is trying to put all the olfactory, all the hormones that might be lingering around there into an organ on the top of her mouth, and deciphering who's been around and what's been happening. Okay, well, it's not useful if you turn around. And I wonder who it is that she's been smelling. Interesting if Tristan says that he's got tracks for Tandy around Chilapan. And it's funny because I think it's just one of those occasions where simply nobody drove on that patch of the road yesterday. We were all trying to focus on Tlalamba in this area or on the hyena den. And I just think it could have been one of those occasions where it was, you know, an untraveled road. Tlalamba, were you just marking there a little bit with your urine? Was that what was happening? Although it didn't seem like it. She's there fighting the grass, biggest enemy, and off we go. Okay, let's follow her, see what she gets up to. Hopefully some more jumping on trees, going crazy, drive. It's almost like a ninja cat. I think we can call her that when she goes and all those crazies and then she starts jumping. It seems like Tristan's still following the Tandy tracks, so let's head over to him and find out if he's got any ideas as to how close she might be.
Well, we were following Tandy tracks, but while we were live just now, Herbie heard what sounded like potentially lions feeding on a carcass very close to where we were. And we're not sure if it's maybe lions or if there was some sort of interaction with the leopard and hyenas that made a sort of grass. And he said it was very close. And so what we're doing now is we're just zigzagging. It did anything more since we last, well, since Herbie. So it could also be maybe two cats coming together. There could be sort of anything like that. Now, I believe you're getting a bit of breakup on our sort of picture, so I do apologize about that. Hopefully it will go away fairly shortly. Now, the other thing that we found while we were walking here is very fresh tracks for wild dogs, but it looks like only for maybe 2 dogs, so we're not sure which way they went. But what I think maybe is the dogs might have killed something, and then from there, hold on David, I saw something here that I want to show you guys because it's very cool. Oh, come on, stay there now. There we go. So there you go. Now that is absolutely... Oh no. It's just let go. No. That's the deal. So we've got a bit of a signal issue, and this amazing cat up so that you guys can see it. There we go. Can you see that? How cool is this guy? Now that is absolutely insane in terms of a caterpillar. It's got these crazy hairs that are coming off it in all over the place. I have absolutely no idea what this is. It's the first time I've ever seen this. Very, very cool looking fella, isn't it? Well, I think so. It's got this kind of very, very I'm quite sure. I'm going to put was on grass stems. Right, now, unfortunately, it sounds like we've got a few sort of picture problems, and so we're going to try and get some better signal to try and with these noise.
An American guy, madam. Just ask Vancouver to say, oh, little. Hello? I can hear that. I swapped with Trishana this morning. We saw this beautiful bird, which is called a black cuckoo shrike. So this bird is confused with the square-tailed drongo, the fork-tailed drongo, and the black flycatcher. So I'm driving along the airstrip. There's no plane yet. Nothing. I'm all alone here. My name is Ollie. Just try to say that 10 times. Ollie, 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 Ollie. We have an amazing species right here, which is called a water bug. You can easily recognize that by what you see. The ring on its butt. White ring on its butt. And this one is a female. And what's interesting about these species is this, that the females are mostly attracted. Oh, is the female a young male? I think it's the young male. Can you zoom them? Oh, this is a young male. Oh, this is the young male. What they do is they are mostly associated with water. So what happens is the females, they are more attracted to the males that have the territories around the water holes. So he's looking on the other side because there's a wildebeest walking there. There's a wildebeest on the left there walking. That's why this guy is looking. Sorry about my head. That's a lonely loner. You can tell that that's a territorial bull. It's a matured bull because it's alone. That's what they do to attract females. You know, like the taupees you find in the Mara. They do this thing called lek or lekking. They will find a nice suitable spot that will attract the female so that they can mate. That's what they do sometimes. It's called the blue wildebeest gnu. No, it's called boom, boom. That's the way they call. The sun is up now. It's getting hot. So while we're watching these wonderful species here, we can go to Ellie with Kalamba.
Seems like Kalamba won't be keeping an eye out on anything. I think she's finally exhausted herself. She has been running around for, what time is it now? For maybe the last hour or so, the last hour and a half, almost 2 hours that we know of. And likely she was moving around during the night as well. So the last tracks we had yesterday were actually close to Buffelshoek Dam. And then we found her today on Central, which is, you know, still quite a distance, and especially in the dark where you have to be a little bit more careful as to where you walk. So, shame. Seems like she's earned her rest. We'll see if she does fall asleep, because the other occasions where I've seen her, she almost fights sleep and she's just like, no. And then she eventually falls asleep and falls down. She's chosen a decent spot. She is in the nice shade, but perhaps she's going to move a little bit later on to a spot that's a little bit more shelter than what it is. As you can see, she's just lying down on the road now. And perhaps it's nice and cool. It seems like it's going to be quite a hot day today also by the looks of things. Oh, you've definitely fallen asleep now. You look so cute. Look at that. Doesn't that make your hearts warm and fuzzy? It does mine. I just almost want to go next to her and stroke her, but of course I would never, because I wouldn't even be able to approach her before she ran away, or then she would turn around and then just swat me with her paw. And still at this age, they can do a lot of damage to a human. But, one can dream. No, I said I wouldn't do it, so don't look at me with that funny face. Just getting that grumpy look, as in like she wants to sleep, but not really, but she's tired, but it's hard being a leopard and being sleepy. I understand. I've also got some little humans in my life that look exactly like you. Fremen, their whiskers are sensory hairs, let's put it that way, so it helps them gauge distance to certain objects, especially when they're walking in the long grass. Oh, she's gone all the way back down. So they mainly use them as a, what's the word that I'm looking for? As a reference? I don't even know if I can use that word. So just to gauge an idea of where they're walking through, especially if they're walking through thick grass, just to know how far certain things are, and then also just to try and measure their balance when they are walking through very thick stuff or on top of trees and then this kind of stuff. Where are you? I think she's pretty much done for the morning. She seems to be very tired, and every time that she raises her head like that, it's perhaps because she can hear something in the distance. So even though she's tired and she'll fall asleep, her ears, even at a subconscious level, will be capturing noises and then just alerting her if there's anything, or if she hears something that doesn't quite fit into the background, or hears a loud noise, she will move her head and put her head back up just to keep an eye out. She is by herself, so she's got to be very careful where she lies down, and she's always got to be vigilant, because there might be things that might be creeping up on her. And it seems like the ticks are attacking her today. With this long grass, I wouldn't be surprised that, or normally in the summer, this is when we get attacked by ticks the most, so it becomes a bit of an issue. Never too late. She will be considered an adult once we see that, well, there are two ways of thinking about this, and it depends who you ask. So technically an adult is when they do not longer depend on their parent, or in this case Tandy, for food supplies, and then she'll be doing her own thing, moving her own way. But it's not a process that from one day to the next is just like done, off you go, you're independent leopard. So it's a process that takes time, and I think we could start considering her a definite independent leopard when Tandy has her next litter of cubs. Before Tandy has her next litter, of course, she would start showing signs of intolerance and somewhat aggression to the cub, just to keep her away while she mates with another male, which in this case we don't know. It might be Tingana, it might be Hukumuri later on, it might be that skittish male. But even as she's mating, she might just still tolerate Tlalamba around her, and she would still every now and again bring her to kills. But as soon as she's got her next litter, then Tlalamba will be 100% independent, because Tandy will become very aggressive towards her, because her main job will be now to actually protect the next litter, and all her efforts and energy are going to go into making sure that the next litter, the little ones, are safe and have enough food and things to eat. So Tlalamba's going to have to pretty much do her own thing. It's pretty much what happened to her brother Tamba before she came around. Tamba was with Tandy, and he was in her care all along until Tandy started mating, and then she started becoming more and more intolerant of him. And then once Tlalamba was born, and there was no chance for Tlalamba to actually be fed by mom any longer. Although, surprisingly, sometimes females, once the cubs are past that tiny little stage and they become a little bit older, and the cubs are maybe a few months old, then they are somewhat tolerant of their previous offspring. And I've seen it in a few occasions where the mothers will be feeding her tiny little cubs, or their tiny little cubs, and then the previous offspring just comes along and, just tries to steal the kill, takes a bite. So it's not like they will all of a sudden forget that they're related or that they know each other, but it's a gradual process. So I think Tlalamba's not too... She's got a few months, I would say, still, but she's not too far away from becoming independent or being forced into adulthood, which I think is more of the situation with leopards. But you are looking tired. MGM, I agree. It is very nice to have this cat almost daily, and we are so fortunate in this area to be able to follow the lives of the cats, the lions, the leopards, the hyenas, of all the animals that come around here, because this area is quite unique and the animals are very used to the car. So just the fact that we know what they've been up to, who they're socializing with, or what they've been doing and what they've been eating, it's just not only an incredible entertainment source, because it becomes pretty much a soap opera when we watch this, but it's also so useful for research, because being able to follow animals as much as we do in a certain area and be able to record everything that we do might just give us an insight into not only what the species does or their movements, but also ways of protecting them in the future. If maybe not in this area, perhaps we can extrapolate some of our experiences here to leopards that live in similar areas, in the case of leopards, or if not of lions. And it's wonderful to be able to keep with them. And even for us as guides, often you'll leave an area, and I would say 90% of my conversations with Tristan's when he's at work are, okay, so this leopard has done this lion did this, and can you believe they went this way? So for us, it also becomes increasingly interesting just to know what they get up to and what they do. So even that's why we keep good relationships with people around the area, just to be able to also know what it is that they get up to. Sleepy cat. So Tristan is still looking at tracks, and I wonder if perhaps he requires some help to go look around down there. But in the meantime, let's head over to him and find out what he's got.
Well, we are looking at tracks. We're busy trying to work out what it is that is going on in this area, because we definitely heard, well, Herbie did. David and I were oblivious. We were talking at the time, we were all live. And so we didn't hear really what went on, but we're trying to decode what the sound was that Herbie heard, and he's adamant that it's a cat. And what we're thinking has happened just during kind of looking at the tracks is basically what's going on here is that you can see we've got tracks kind of going in both directions, this way and that way. Now, both these tracks are for wild dogs. And so what we're thinking is potentially that the dogs made a kill somewhere in this block, and maybe something like a leopard has either stolen a piece of that kill, or maybe has in some way interacted with hyenas or dogs and has been kind of pushed up. We haven't heard dogs though, so it doesn't make sense to me that dogs have chased a leopard up a tree. It's more like a leopard has run in, grabbed something and gone up and maybe had a little interaction, particularly with hyenas. When you have dogs like this, and if they kill, there are a few hyena tracks that are kind of mixed in amongst the dogs here, and so it's very possible that maybe the dogs killed, hyenas have come in, and a leopard has had a bit of an interaction. That's what we're thinking anyway. But so what we're trying to do is just try and kind of see where the wild dog tracks go. These tracks are from this morning, early this morning, so they were around not long ago, and that's why we're thinking maybe, just maybe, this is where the dogs kind of were. There was one track on Twin Dams Road, and then the rest is all inside here. So we're just kind of doing some loops around, and we're just checking all the big trees. Careful the thorn tree behind you, David. Just to try and see if there's any sign of maybe where they made a kill, or we can pick up any kind of some sort of track to indicate what's actually going on and where these animals have moved and what could have caused that growling sound that Herbie heard. But it's tricky. I mean, wild dogs, the problem with them is that they're very kind of mobile in lots of different directions, and that makes life quite tricky. It's quite hard to sort of work out which way was the kind of final direction that they headed. In a block like this, the ground is incredibly hard, and so it takes a bit of time to actually work things out. Herbie's just sort of doing perimeter check at the moment, just trying to see if he can figure out exactly where they went. And so what we were doing is just kind of doing little loops around, just trying to check if they went kind of back towards the road, or if their sort of general direction is deep into the block. If it's deeper into the block, that explain why Herbie heard that sound. We're right in the area where Herbie thought he heard it. So to me, that indicates that they did have something. We haven't found any drag mark. We haven't found any sort of blood stain or anything like that, which is what you do find with wild dog kills. When they've got a kill, they generally will leave a trace of kill being had, so there'll be a bit of stomach content, there'll be kind of scattering of bones and that kind of thing. So maybe, I mean, there's lots of tracks for impalas inside here as well, but it looks like a lot of the tracks kind of go up and down on this pathway, and then we lose them. We can't really see where they go from here. So we want to just check the pangolin track, and then just check this block and just kind of zigzag our way through it to try and see where they could have gone. But the tracks kind of come down these pathways, and looks like they were in and out all over the place here. Herbie's adamant that there's something here. and I tend to trust Herbie when it comes to these things. His senses and hearing and, everything tends to be a lot better than what ours is. So you can see now on this path we've lost the tracks for these dogs already. So they haven't come this way, which means they must have either gone straight to our kind of left or straight to our right. They haven't gone north or south of this sort of spot. So we'll kind of keep scratching and just seeing what we can find. It's unfortunately with wild dogs it's like this. You've got to do these kind of loops and zigzags and try and kind of pick up which way the pack actually ended up deciding to run. But there's tracks for multitude of impalas kind of bombshelling all over the place here, so I wouldn't be surprised they managed to catch something, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if somebody like Tingana or Tandi has come in and grabbed something behind them. We know both of those cats have stolen from wild dogs in the past, so very, very possible, particularly if it's a small grouping. If it's only 2-3 dogs, much easier for a cat to steal and to be able to actually kind of get a meal out of the dogs rather than the other way around. The problem with dogs also is that they just move too fast. So the tracking on foot is not really what we're doing for the dog's purpose. We're trying to find the growling sound more than we're trying to find the dogs. The dogs, in all likelihood, are quite far away from us. Like I say, if they had chased a leopard, we would have definitely heard the yelping and the kind of squealing and the excited chittering that goes on with dogs. Good, we're going to keep going. We're going to try and see what we can find. In the meantime, though, back to Ali and the cuteness overload that is Tlalamba.
Where Tlalamba is pretty settled, so Lou, if you wouldn't mind asking Tristan if they need a hand or if they would like us to go and check with the vehicle somewhere, we would be happy to go and give the guys a hand, unless they think that it's better to try and figure it out on foot. I'm not too sure the area that they're in, but we'll figure it out from them, and if they need a hand, of course, we're going to go help them out. I think Tlalamba is at least settled for a little bit. I was just thinking if it would be easier to find her in the evening, and I think we might actually struggle. It's very thick all around here, so I am hoping that she's going to stick around close to the dams, and now at least we know some of the spots where she's walked in the areas where she's been lying down, so chances are that during the day that she's going to move around, but then maybe she'll lie down in one of those areas. There are so many beautiful marulas around here that I keep hoping that she's going to go up and then just chill on top of one of those marulas, because the branches are stunning. If you see that one to your right, that's a marula. So if she were to lie down on one of those trees there or one of the branches there, we would have like this beautiful clear background, just the sky at the back, so that would be lovely. But I mean, a girl can dream, right? Yesterday she was not. I did check on a few of them when we were looking for her in the afternoon, but it seems like she might have just been in a bush somewhere. Which, fair enough, it's a better way of concealing herself, and perhaps it was a little bit cooler, because as we said, yesterday was an extremely hot day. Seems like by the looks of it, today is also going to be hot, maybe on the high 30s or so. You guys might laugh, but when we get dressed in the mornings, because the weather's been so changing and it's either very hot or very cold, we actually go out. Oh. Alrighty, seems like sorry I went quiet there. It seems like the bushwalk might need a hand, so I'm gonna try to get hold of them on the radio, see where they would like us to hold, just because I think Tlalamba might just stick around here. So thank you, girl. Let's see where Tristan might need some help. Herbie, come in. Herbie, which area would you guys like us to check? Herbie, where do you want me to check with the MOVA? I think the radios might not be working fully for us today. Herbie, come in. Alright, seems like there's a lot of intercommunication around the radio, so I don't think those guys can hear me properly. So I think what we're going to do is, I believe, the last thing that I heard was that they were around Chelapan, which is not too far from where we are. We would just be on the eastern side of the Molowati. And we're going to start heading down there, see if maybe if we get a little bit closer to them, we'll be able to pick up or pick them up on the radio or hear anything. I think it's safe to say that Lalamba is settled, at least for the next little while. I find it very hard to believe that she might be in this exact same spot in the afternoon, but at least we know where she's been hanging around, and we know that she's definitely still around this particular block. So that at least gives us a starting point for the afternoon. We're going to let her sleep, hopefully have a very nice sound sleep. And no doubt, as the sun goes up and gets further into the sky, then there'll be no shade, and she might have to go into a bit of a bush. Alrighty. Goodbye, Tlalamba. Thank you very much for a wonderful morning. All right, let's head out, see if we can find something else. See what else is lurking about. And I'll try to get a hold of the guys again on the radio. There is a little bit of talk on the northern side because of those lions that are there, so people are coming and going. It seems like the composition of what they're looking at is 3 males and 4 females. So I wonder, females, the guys have said that seems like it's the Talamati females, and the 3 males, well, not too sure. Maybe one of Oka came back from somewhere. I do know that they were initially 5 of them, but I thought that 3 of them were all the way down back in the southern side of the Sabi Sand. So I think maybe we'll chat to Tex and them a little bit later, see what's actually down there. Now let me try to get a hold of Herbie again. Maybe I'll be successful this time. Herbie, come in. Maybe not. They also got to keep their radio levels down if they're walking through the bush, just because they don't want extra noises. So I think that's what might be happening. Tristan, Herbie, come in. All right, let's head into the Molowati and then see if maybe the guys are there, and then we'll have a look. Maybe we'll pick up some tracks on this side. Off we go. Not a bad morning at all. Well done, little Tlalamba, for being there. It's nice when they cooperate with us. And it was so incredible. I don't think that if it hadn't been for the help of the spotlight that we would have actually been able to see her, because it's just her 2 shiny eyes, the very first thing that we saw when we first started driving. Or, well, when we eventually spotted her. And I thought it was a civet, funny enough, because she was all tucked in so nicely, so pretty. It almost didn't seem like a real leopard. I think I've actually gone too far now. This is not the road where I wanted to go onto. But let me see. Maybe if we go down that other road, we'll be able to get lucky. So let me just turn around, as I think we've gone a little bit too far. And not quite the road that I wanted to go down upon. At least it's nice and open here, so not a 5 million point turn, as sometimes happens. At least we've got this short wheelbases Land Rovers that make life easier. With the Land Cruisers, it's a little bit more complicated because it's such a massive boat that you've got to move up and down and up and down. So it makes life a little bit more difficult. Alrighty, let's see. We haven't heard anything. We're not too far from Chalapan, and chances are that if it had been lions or something heavily vocalizing, that we would have been able to hear it, but we haven't heard anything, and our vehicle has been switched off most of the morning because Tlalamba has settled now. So I wonder what it is. Perhaps, always interesting, maybe even Thandi was down there, who knows. But the guys obviously would have a better idea with the tracks that they've been looking at. So we'll see what's happening once we get down there. Alright, this is where I went wrong. I thought we were on the other road. It's actually been funny because I've had to try and get my bearings back as to Juma and certain roads, and then some days, because I haven't driven around here, I still know what road will lead me where, but where exactly a road starts or finishes, that sometimes becomes a bit blurry in my memory. And it's quite funny. At the end of the day, we've got a lot of roads that we try to memorize, but at least, the important thing is always learn how to get home. Okay. Seems like bushwork is still lurking about, and we're going to try to get a hold of them on the radio once more and see exactly where they want us to check. But let's head over to them and see if they have any further clues.
Well, we're still trying to find where these animals went. I mean, we can see tracks for them in literally every direction. You can see here where one of the dogs was actually lying in the road. flat side and its fluffy tail actually at the end. So this would have been kind of stretched out, and it's quite nice actually. You can even see the little striations of individual hairs in the tail itself. So this would have been where the tail, you know, they've got that big fluffy white tip to the tail. So this is where all the hairs would have been. The back legs would have been out, and it would have been lying on its side with its front paws going forward. It then got up and kind of ran in this direction, back towards Chelapan, but there's literally tracks going in all directions, as with wild dogs, and so what we're trying to do is just trying to find exactly where they went as a pack and where they moved. Like I say, this is just one wild dog by itself, so it's very tricky when you only have one to be able to try and work out what's going on and to try and figure out exactly where they went. But it kind of looks like it goes this way, and then they sort of cut in and out all over the place, and what we like I say, we're just trying to work out exactly where to go. The problem is that the sound that Herbie heard is close here somewhere, so whatever it is, if they killed here, it's just trying to find that. But we keep doing these zigzag patterns in figure of eights. I think if somebody had to trace us on a GPS, they'd think that we've gone bonkers, because we're going round and round in circles. Our circles are just getting larger and larger and larger as we're doing it, trying to kind of figure out what's happening, and eventually we'll hopefully find some sort of sign. Obviously it's going to help if Ali comes, because a car can cover that much more distance that we can't, especially when it comes to wild dogs. I mean, it's very tricky for us to be able to kind of keep up with them in terms of the way, if they're running, we've almost got no chance to kind of find them. So, I mean, I'm not sure where even to start now. I thought that we would have kind of found some sort of evidence of maybe a kill inside there, but we haven't yet. So we're just trying to kind of loop around. I want to go and check quickly at Pangolin Track Pan, see if they didn't go and drink that side. They might have, and maybe that's why we kind of heard what we did. But just checking the road as we go. So the dogs were here, as well as hyenas going up and down, but it doesn't look like a lot of dogs. It looks like maybe 2 or 3 individuals that are around, which is surprising. Okay, well, let's see what we can find. Let's try and check it out, and I mean, maybe we'll get lucky with Ali being around. She can maybe check Treehouse Dam and the likes, and see if they haven't gone that way. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Ali with the battalion.
I'm sorry about what happened. Earlier on, we had a little bit of earpiece problem. The extent that it didn't work properly, so that's why I wasn't aware that I was live. So now we are back on track with the beautiful bird that you can see now. This is an adult Bateleur. I need to check properly whether it's a male or a female, because you know you can tell between the male and the female while perching or in flight. I'm searching around because normally where there's a Bateleur, there might be a mate or there might be a carcass. You know, they're one of the scavenging birds. Or there might be a nest around this place. So I'm looking around and see whether I'll find something. I can't smell any carcass. I can't see any nest yet. But probably this is some nest. Because talking about the nest, these birds, they take a long time to raise a chick. And you know that the chick can reach its full plumage in 7 to 8 years. Let me listen around. There's an interesting bird that I can hear now. Lara Moore is saying she's enjoying watching the Bateleur. Yes, we're also enjoying watching this bird because it's so unique than other birds. It's more confusing because what happened was at first I thought this small bird with the long beak with a short tail, I thought it was a baby Bateleur when I started with my studies. So I thought this bird is more related to this bird because, you know, the Bateleur was also known as a short-tailed eagle. saw that bird, which is called a long-billed cromback, also has the shortest tail in the smallest bird. So I thought it was the baby or the same family. So there's this bird that is calling here. I don't know whether you can hear that. I don't know whether you are familiar with the call, but this call, yes, this bird is, this call is from this beautiful bird called a scimitar bill. Talking about a scimitar bill, Trishalla, but this is, maybe it's a secret? It's a secret. It's a secret. Okay, let me not even talk about it. But a scimitar bill. In future, you will notice what I was trying to say. But the shape of the beak, and this is a beautiful bird, which is called a scimitar bill. Let me try and look a photo for you. Scimitar bill. Few seconds. Wood hoopoo. Under the wood hoopoos? Oh, 288. So about that. So I'm trying to find this bird. A very interesting bird. Yes, he has a scimitar bill. Here is it. This is a bird that was calling now. It is more related to the green-hood hoopoo, the one you can see on top there with the red beak. But when you say the green-hood hoopoo live, this beak, it's orange, not red like this book is showing. And it's called a scimitar because the shape of the beak, you can see it's like a sword. And I've seen these guys hunting, and they were like foraging, I can say. They were searching and searching from a tree to a tree, trying to remove the small pieces of the bark, searching for insects. And that's how they hunt. So let's leave the birds for now. And that battalier is still there. It's waiting for his or her mate, because I didn't tell the gender. It's a beautiful day. I'm on my way to a hyena den. I'm going back there because earlier on with Trishalla, we are not lucky. So I believe we'll be lucky this time. The sun is up. It's not hot. It's still chilled. Paula, the question was, want to hear the call of the scimitar bill, if I'm mistaken? Paula. Oh, I'm sorry if I didn't get your name right. Paula. Oh, Paula, the call of the battalion. I'm sorry about that. And while I'm still on my search of a hyena, let's go to Ellie and see what she has for us. Oh, sorry about that. Let's stop here. Sorry about that. The gremlins. Ellie doesn't have any signal, but we are so lucky because we parked just right next to the lions. We've passed these lions earlier on, and then we didn't have a good signal, but this time I do believe we have a good signal. These lions are so full. There's this one that's coming from the right-hand side, but I don't think Uncle James will see that lion. Yes, look at the belly there. And earlier on, while we were here, there were sounds coming from the thickets there. Like you can hear that these lions are feeding. You know, when the lions are feeding, they sort of like fighting, growling. I'm also excited to see these guys. But what's so amazing is this. Earlier on, I think is this lion. It was my first time seeing a lion with the belly so full. The belly was like it was going to explode. And check there. Check that lion that's coming from the side and that one that's lying there. I think there's a submission behavior there. Submissive behavior. You can see that one. Look at the head and the body posture of that one that's lying down there. I think this one that passed, it's superior than that one, maybe, or older than that one. Oh, the viewers wants to know which lions are these. These are called the Inkuhumas, and they had a kill yesterday. They killed a water buck, big male water buck, and I think at night they had a kill because they were feeding there. But I'm not sure which animal was that. But we had growlings, as I've said. So you know they were full yesterday. Then they had a kill at night. You know, they're not far from the pen. And maybe something came at night, and that thing or that antelope didn't notice the animals, didn't smell them. Then they whacked it down. You know, they're opportunists. If an opportunity avails itself, they will go for it. That's why this is the big pride. And you know, a big male water buck won't make them this full. There's another antelope they've killed during the night. That's why I'm quite sure of. Because their belly, you can see their belly. And I'm not sure whether they will be moving. And we have a lot of vehicles here, and they just stole our view. That's very amazing. And look at the tracker guy, the distance of the tracker guy on the tracker seat and the lion. I'm sure that guy is... So now, while we try to reposition, because there are a lot of cars around here and I'm on the main road, let's go to Tristan. Sorry about that. Again, we don't have signal. And we don't have a good position here, but we can see this lion is panting because it has a lot to digest in its belly. I wonder how is that guy feeling there, because that lion is about 3 meters away from him. And it's looking at this guy. Look. This is magic. A few steps to the guy, I'm sure the guy will lift his legs or he will just stand still there. But the interesting part is that you have to stay still and don't move a muscle when these guys are around the vehicle. You know, the Nkrumah pride, this is a big pride, and they really need a big kill. That's why yesterday they were full and they were not enough. So while with the lions, with full bellies, let's go for the bushwalk.
Now, you can we've taken a break from going in circles and driving ourselves mad with wild dog tracks that have been everywhere. They went to Pangolin Track Pan and had a drink there and then came back this way and up and down and all over. But the tracks are very fresh, and so they're somewhere in this area. Hopefully Ali will be able to find them. Anyway, we found a beautiful caterpillar in the meantime. Well, Herbie found it. I didn't find anything. Coming up of it, and it's then I believe our signal is once again playing havoc with us, which is really not ideal at all. And hopefully it will leave us alone, the gremlins, and we'll be able to kind of see the caterpillar nicely. But typical caterpillar, it's got sort of eye markings on the back of its body. That is in coloration, and they almost look like little eye spots on its sort of neck area. And that's just to stop predation of anything coming back here. The actual head is on the other side. This is where the head is over here, and that's where it's kind of going and looking for food. And I'm sure this caterpillar soon will go into a state of pupation, where it's going to eventually then become the adult. I mean, it's quite a big caterpillar already in terms of size. If I put my index finger there, you can see it's quite a big caterpillar, not very small at all. It's often quite difficult for you guys to get an idea of size, but that should give you a kind of rough sort of look. But beautiful coloration that this little one has got. It's got the most incredible sort of maroons and, like I say, creams, and then the head is this sort of orange color. David, do you want me to do some farming for you? There we go. How's that?
Much better.
Much better. David, that's good. Because
it seems like just being around looking for different things. Seem like hyena tracks around here. Now I've checked. We bumped into Herbie, who asked us to go check around Twin Dams and Treehouse Dam, and we have checked Twin Dams, but there doesn't seem to be anything in there. There were some squirrels in Franklin going a little bit crazy earlier on in the Molowati, so we figured that maybe there was something in there, but couldn't really find anything and couldn't really see tracks for anything. So, it's a bit of a mystery. We're going to go check towards Treehouse Dam now, because the guys are in the block that's just in front of us over there, and they're checking inside of as they have a suspicion, as I'm sure they've said that it was perhaps the leopard that bumped into the wild dogs and someone made a kill and the other one tried to take it away from them. I wouldn't be surprised if the leopard that is in there is actually Thandi, because if they had tracks for a female leopard from Chelapan, and considering where Klalamba is, wouldn't be too much of a distance to walk in a straight line. It gets a little bit more complicated for us, because we have to go around roads, and obviously we cannot go banging through the bushes all the time. Lots of hyena tracks here, but no leopard. So that's why it takes us sometimes a little bit longer to get to places, whereas if you're even on bushwalk, you'll see it's much quicker to go from one place to the next. So I want to check this road carefully, see if perhaps whoever, maybe the dogs, maybe Thandi, any creature would be lovely. So come to us, come onto the road so we can see where you guys have gone off to. Can't see anything really here that might... Let's have a look. Don't know if someone's calling me on the radio. I mean, if they are, they can call us again, and then we'll figure it out. So the chase is definitely on. We're trying to find the creatures that made the tracks that Tristan and Herbie had. For now, though, I've only seen hyena tracks, and as we know, the den is not too far, so it is possible that only hyenas have been walking around this road, and it is possible for leopards or wild dogs to still be in there. Lauren, I've actually never heard squirrels alarming at wild dogs, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. They alarm for pretty much anything. So although they are a good indication of a potential predator, sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a predator we want to look at, because often they'll alarm at snakes or eagles, or, well, you know, we do know that lions and leopards, they also do it. Where? No tracks here that I can see. Let's carry on. Maybe we'll go check treehouse down. Maybe there will be something in there, or at least an indication of who might have been walking around. More hyena tracks. Whew. I'm gonna carry on sticking my nose on the ground and see if maybe we can find a trace of these animals on this road. Let's probably do that. Let's head over to Tony, who's with Lincoln Mail.
Guess what? This is the Mangeni male. I just realized that now, because of the scars, I'm using my binocular. And look at the neck. This guy has transformed to this big cat. I don't know. The mange is like gone, I can say that, because it's not worse now. It's healing, and then the fur is coming back, it's growing back. He's eating well. This is what he's going to do this whole morning and whole afternoon. I wish I can show you all these cats, because you can see the far right there, Uncle James. Yes, we have this too. Let me check with my binoculars. I can see these cats are full. And this was such a big kill, including that water park that was killed yesterday. David, they're so full that they can't even lie down properly. They have to lie on their sides, or they have to stand like this, because their belly is like a balloon now, hot air balloon. You know, these ones that they always fly in the air, in the marrow. Their bellies are something else. And remember that lions, these big cats, they can eat 20% of their own body weight. Triandi. Your question was, are they still in the same place as yesterday? Yes, they are still at the same place, but just a few meters away from the exact spot where they were eating this, where they were sitting yesterday. So what happened was, I was here with Tristan while we were searching for Tlalamba and Tandi. See that this lion you're looking at right now, there was a white rhino there, and then on the other side, on the opposite side, these lions were lying there, and they were full. And then not far from this lion you're looking at, not far right, we had the growlings this morning that told us that these lions were feeding. This is the exact same spot, I can say, but on a different position. And the sounds that you will hear from the other vehicles, because we are not alone in this sighting. It's wonderful to watch these beautiful cats. Our Mangeni has recovered. And look at the tail. They can easily recognize this Mangeni male with this. Lara Moore. She wants to know about the mange and this cat. The mane and the mange of this cat. You can see at this age it was supposed to be, the mane was supposed to be visible like other youngsters. But because of the mange, it's not yet visible, but it's growing back slowly. You can see its tip of its tail, it's coming back nice and smoothly. It will become a ball in a few months from now. And hopefully we'll see this big mane of this male that was devoured by ticks. Oh, not ticks, but the bacteria, the mice. Mice.
Not mice, mites.
Mites. So, but this one is still a youngster. That's why you can see he's still with pride. He didn't reach its sexual maturity yet. So, after that particular period, he will leave the pride to live a nomadic life. Normally, they form collations. So this guy, I think, is trying to get a nice spot to drink water because there's a pen around here. So for now, let's go to Tristan with a golden orb web spider.
Well, hopefully he'll find a spot on our side of the reserve, which would be quite nice. It's interesting to hear that they're as full as they are. They must have managed to kill again. Anyway, we're sitting with the spider that we've been talking about for weeks now and saying we haven't seen any. And this morning I was actually saying we haven't seen any. And there's a golden orb web, a very, very small female. She's still got a long way to go until she's her biggest size that she can be. But at least it's a good sign that there are some golden orb webs still around. And the fact that we've only seen, well, this is my first one at this time of the year, is pretty shocking. I mean, generally by February they're all over the place and you see them everywhere, but it's a very, very cool thing to see. The web itself has not got a gold sort of color or sheen to it. All the anchor lines and everything seemingly are the normal sort of color. There doesn't seem to be any gold thread at this stage, but eventually those will be added and you'll find that they'll be there. But beautiful, beautiful spider. It's got those yellows and blacks, and that's obviously all there to try and tell birds, don't eat me. It's aposematic coloration. Essentially, it's just telling them I don't taste good or I'm venomous or whatever the case may be. It's just to try and kind of deter predation. And so they have these big, bold, bright colors. And I say that this is a small spider. If I put my hand here, I just don't want to touch the web, and also don't want to block the light too much, but you can see it's very small in comparison to my palm. A fully grown orb web like this will be about the size of my palm when it's fully grown. So it's an interesting kind of how quickly they grow. And you must remember that this spider is only around once a year. So it comes out, it will build these webs, it will eventually breed, grow to this massive size. It will then kind of do its thing, breed, and then it dies basically from there. And you will not see it around this time next year. So this same spider will only last for a few months and then it's kind of dies, and you'll find then they hatch again next year when the rains start to fall. And so that's why you kind of don't have many of them around outside of summer. So, Rosemary, the orb web family is massive, and there are orb webs that are found throughout the world. The golden orb web, I'm not 100% sure whether it's only here in Africa. I think this particular species is only here in South Africa, but you do get golden orb web, or ones that spin a golden web outside of Africa as well. I think there's some in China, if I'm not mistaken, and I think even in Europe there might be. But this particular species, and I forget the name of it now, there's actually quite a few of the golden orb web variety that have different coloration. Some are more orange, some are more yellow, but this particular species, like I say, I forget the name now, its scientific name, because they don't have common names, and I'm not sure actually if this one will occur outside of Africa. It will be quite interesting to kind of see if they do, but an incredible specimen, and their web is one of the strongest that you get in this sort of spider family. They have an incredibly powerful web, particularly those golden threads, and those golden threads have been used by man fairly regularly. In fact, they've actually used them to make scarves out of it because of its, one, of its beauty, and two, its strength. And it's funny enough, if you had to use this web and you had to basically increase the diameter of it to 3 centimeters, which is not very big. I mean, 3 centimeters is absolutely tiny. It would probably be, what, about that, eh, David? Yep. So if the diameter of the web is that thick, and you had to put out a big web, you'd be able to catch jets that are flying around up there, so a big airliner that you fly across continents with. The web that thick would be able to catch it mid-air and stop it at full speed, which is pretty insane. And the reason why is obviously it's incredibly strong, but it's also got a huge amount of stretch in it, which allows, you know, there to be sort of this give it and then kind of comes back a bit, but incredibly strong stuff, and is very, very, very useful, I would imagine, in time. Mita, you say you've got golden orb web spiders in Australia. That's awesome to hear. I'm glad that you know that, Mita, as well. It's very, very cool. So there we go. They do occur outside, but like I said, I'm not sure of that exact species. Like I said, the golden orb webs, there's actually quite a lot of them. There's not just, everyone just kind of throws golden orb web out, but actually here, even in this reserve, there's different species or different scientific names for the various golden orb webs we get. And like I say, one has got a more orange kind of color to it. There's another one that's got a bit of red in it, and then these ones that are very sort of bright gold on the abdomen. So there's a few kind of different ones within this area, and they're incredibly beautiful spiders, and a good sign when you see them out. I always like when we see them. It just kind of shows that there's a healthy ecosystem, and it's sad when you don't have them, as much as people hate them. And I've had lots and lots of guests that absolutely despise these guys. I once had a guest in a sighting with Shadow, actually. So we were following Shadow around, and it was in 2011. So the bush at that stage was not like it is now. I mean, the grass, even though it's getting longer, is still sparse in comparison to what it was like in 2011. 2011, the grass was like this, and it was just thick. You couldn't see anything. And we were following Shadow around, and we actually couldn't see her anymore. And as we were kind of following her, we went through this thicket, and the spider ended up landing on the actual car itself next to this lady. And this lady had the most massive panic attack, and without saying really too much other than a shrill little squeak that came from the sort of back right of the car, next thing all we saw was Shadow disappearing, running through the grass, and this lady was out the car next to, and I mean, she jumped probably, I would say, not even 10 meters from where Shadow was, and she just decided leopard was better than spider, and she decided so my tracker quickly grabbed her and put her back in the car. But it was, yeah, we didn't find Shadow again. Shadow did not appreciate that at all. She got a big fright and ran away. So, you know, some people are hugely scared of spiders, and I suppose when they're the size of your palm and they're bright colors and they look quite nasty, I suppose it can be forgiven in some respects. Right, so we're going to keep going. We've cut through this block, we've looked, we can't find any tracks anymore. These dogs are somewhere here, but we just haven't bumped into them yet. But in the meantime, let's send you back across to Nqoli with the dragonfly.
We have this beautiful flying aeroplane over here. I call this guy a dragonfly. And you know, it's a little bit confusing to a damselfly. So this one is being territorial because, you know, when they sit and still like this, concentrating on one particular area, it means they've been territorial. It's one of the predators we get in the reserve, which it feeds and hunts for insects. Sorry about that. I was reading this one interesting thing about these dragonflies. Like each of the 2 large compound eyes of dragonflies contains approximately 26,000 eyelets. And that's very interesting. That's very much interesting. Yes, Lara Moore, this is so cool. This is magic. Because you must remember, most flying insects keep level simply by orientating themselves in relation to the brightest light from the above and least light from the below. So that's how they fly, you know. So we are not alone here to witness this lions. This dragonfly is also here. I lost the view of these lions, but you know, when they go flat, they can camouflage and they can be around these bushes here. And let's count the legs there. Now I can see 2 pairs. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's one that he's using it's it's the hands there. I think is it feeding on something? Lauren, what an interesting question. What's the difference between the damselfly and a dragonfly? If you look properly, check the abdomen. You see the abdomen part. The dragonfly has long and I can say big abdomen, and then the damselfly has this tiny skinny little thing like I can say it's like a spike or like a thorn. And they look so confusing because these ones, they get bigger and bolder than a damselfly. And remember, there's this interesting thing there, like a difference between the moth and a butterfly. The wings, when stationary, I've seen a damselfly, it folds its wings, and this one opens its wings. As you can see now, it's stationary, but you can see the wings are opened. Rondo, 13 rainbows. There's all about that. What do these dragonflies eat? They eat insects, as I've said. They are one of the predators and the carnivores you can find in this place. They feed on insects, and it was feeding an insect now. I think it's a fly or something. I didn't see it properly because these guys are so tiny, and then they feed on these tiny little insects. Oh, it flew off. It's coming back. And the behavior I'm seeing right now, I think it's really a territorial behavior. Or it's sitting in an open, or maybe to attract a female or to show off. Because, you know, in the open they are more vulnerable. So while we're looking at our flying beautiful insect and the lions, let's go to Ali and see what she has for us.
Well, it has been somewhat unsuccessful until now. There have been francolins, so we're in the Malawati now, and there have been francolins and squirrels going absolutely crazy, and, you know, they've been calling a we've been checking around, but so far no luck with either tracks or the actual animal. Can you hear that's the francolin there? It's not too far from us, but I have no clue what they're looking at because we cannot see any tracks. We cannot see any animals that they might be worried about, so I'm not too sure, to be honest, what it is that they're unsure of. I just want to check down here. Maybe there'll be a track for something because we haven't been able to come across any tracks anywhere else. Yes, I know you're alarming, but I don't know what you're looking at. don't know. Let's have a look in here. Could be if it were a leopard moving, or even a wild dog in this particular area, it would be easy for them to go unnoticed. There's a lot of soft ground, lots of areas where they can just run through the bushes without ever having to come out onto a road. So it could be. What is this? A leopard track? What is this? I might crash on here. No, not a leopard track. I wonder what's going on. I mean, seems like quite of a mystery. I mean, it could have been Tundi that they found or that they heard on that vlog growling at the wild dogs. Could have perhaps been that other skittish male. Maybe he made a kill throughout the evening, because I think that's not too far from the area where Steve last had him last night. So it's a bit of a mystery. And I suppose it's one of the most amazing things about this job, is that we're constantly wondering as to what's been happening, and you try to piece the puzzle together. And I think that's why I've been drawn into this job, because there's always a reason for things or the way animals behave. So you've just got to be able to sort of like combine them all to get the full picture. In this case, though, I think I'm not going to be super successful in putting those things together, because I haven't been able to find tracks or anything else. So it's going to be a little bit trickier, but, you know, it's worth a try. So we'll do that. Sorry that I'm driving almost like it looks like I'm going to fall out of the car, but it's the easiest way for me to look at the tracks that are on the side of the road. So it's a bit of an easier thing to spot the tracks as we drive along, so that I don't have to drive stop, because unfortunately for me, I'm not as tall. So like looking in front of the bonnet, although I can see tracks on the road, I cannot distinguish from here exactly what they are, because I'm sitting a little bit low. Comes with the job. But at least I put a few blankets underneath me just to be able to look a little bit bigger than what I actually am, and be able to spot things down there. Now, whatever it is, I don't think it came this way. An excellent ab workout, Lou. I don't know if it's an excellent ab workout, but it's definitely a workout. Sometimes more than that is a leg workout with a clutch. I feel like my left leg might be overdeveloped when compared to that right one. But no, I cannot see anything around here, so I'm not too sure. Maybe we're just gonna go all the way up and then come back down and see what's going on down there. That might be maybe the best way to go, because I know Herbie and Tristan are still in that block, and we haven't been able to find anything around here. Lauren, I don't know if Tristan is the only one that can fall off the car. It's surprisingly how many times we've all almost been on the verge of falling out of the car. I think the problem was that Tristan is the only one that has been caught live. It was unfortunate for him, you know, something that will live for eternity. I think, though, his biggest competition might be, of course, Taylor McCurdy, because she loves just falling in general. So when she goes and climbs on rocks and does safari parkour and all these things, we all hold our breaths, because chances of her not being that agile and hurting herself are quite something. Although she seems to have managed in the last few occasions. She hasn't broken anything. She's just been stuck in the mud. So maybe that's actually her thing, to get stuck in the mud. But it's tricky, because sometimes, especially if you're going down or if there's a hole, then all the vehicle moves, and then it's hard for you to hold onto something. And I think in Tristan's case, it happened that he held onto the vehicle, to the steering wheel, and that didn't happen. Sorry, I think I'm being called on the radio. Standing by. Ingwe Alley. Okay, copy. I'll turn around and go check that area. Let's go turn around. So it was Herbie on the radio that was trying to get a hold of us. It says that the tracks for the wild dogs have actually gone towards the camp area. So they've gone northeast from where they last had them. So we're going to turn around rather than go all the way east, and then see if we can make it down there quickly. See if perhaps we get the dogs this morning. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight towards the dam. So maybe just keep an eye out on the dam camera. Maybe they'll pop out in there somewhere. That actually would be the best thing for us, because they're not too far. There are a few mud wallows in there if they want to stop for a drink that they can drink from. But let's keep the eyes on the big prize. Hopefully they'll go all the way up there. So I'm going to go a little bit quicker just to be able to get there. while I get there and then try to go on a Ferrari safari to hopefully get closer to the area, let's send you guys across to the bushwalk team who will be able to give you a better update.
Well, we are not close to the dam, but we're on Ingwe Alley at the moment, so they've come towards the mud wallows around this area and they've run around a little bit here, but it looks like generally cutting more towards sort of quarantine side. So if Ali's going to go anywhere, I think quarantine's probably a better bet. I don't think they're going to go towards the dam, maybe not. It's possible that they could, but they basically came from Pangolin Trackpan up and down there and then eventually came north through this drainage and are running along kind of towards this road. So what I'm hoping is that there's a mud wallow a little further on that maybe they've decided to lie up. It's gotten quite warm now, and so if they did eat or if they fed, now would be a time where they should theoretically, there you go, you can see there's a truck back there, so they're on the road already kind of moving off in this direction, which is the direction we want them to go because the nearest mud wallow is that way, and so hopefully they're going to go and lie down there. But Toby and I were just talking about it. It doesn't look like a very big pack. It doesn't look like all 8 dogs. There are definitely younger dogs in here. There's much smaller tracks than the and bigger ones. Maybe there's 8 and they just split up and we haven't seen all together, but it looks like a smaller number of wild dogs than 8. So which pack it is, I don't know. I mean, obviously there are the 2 that run around here from the Lower Sabi breakaway, but they haven't been seen in a long time. And then there's dispersion that does happen, especially at this time of the year. And as we start gearing up towards when they're going to start mating and start actually producing puppies, you'll find that the packs change completely. But you can see they ran all the way along this road. So some of them came this way and others were already on the road and they've kind of converged in this spot and still going. Now the mud wallow that we're talking about is probably from here, I'd say maybe 200 meters further down the road. Herbie's already down that way and is kind of slowly checking as we're going, so we're a little bit behind. He came through the block and we came around just to check that they didn't cross further, but their tracks are still on the road. So I mean, I don't know if they're close by anymore. I mean, the tracks are good, but we know with dogs that their ability to cover ground in short spaces of time is quite quick, and nobody really has been driving on the western side of Djuma today. So everybody's been to the south and to the east, and all the other vehicles are up in Buffelshoek with the lions up there. So these guys could very well be far away. But we'll try. We'll have a look at this pan and check. But if Ali checks quarantine, is probably her best bet. Rebecca's, Zoe's quarantine, that kind of area is where I reckon. What do you think, Dave? Sounds good. David, are you hungry now?
So hungry.
David is so hungry, guys. So David is as hungry as it gets, apparently. And so, luckily for you, David, it's not long until you eat. Ooh, exactly. And Louise is also hungry, apparently. And so we're going to send you across to Holly to see how hungry he is.
I'm not so lucky yet this morning with the hyenas because we are from the hyena den now. There's nothing there. Maybe they were there after us this morning, or they were there before we went there. Because now we just checked from the distance with our binoculars, because I didn't want it to go in there, find out there's nothing. So because we can see the view of the entrance of that den from a distance, so I took my binoculars and I've looked, there's nothing there. So I'm on my way to Treehouse Dam, and I'll check for antelopes, cats, because you know when it gets hot, everyone wants to drink water. Maybe we might be lucky to see beautiful birds, as we saw a beautiful bird this morning with Trishala. It's my second time seeing that bird. First was at the college, and today with Trishala. A black cuckoo shrike. What an amazing bird. Haven't had any alarm calls yet. We stopped at the back there. Nothing. Tracy, What's my memorable sighting while I was on foot? I remember I was with Uncle James, Heavy, and we were walking, and we saw a honey badger on foot. But we saw it digging, and then it stopped. It looked at us, and then it took off. It didn't even take about 2 minutes or 3 minutes, but it was amazing. That was one of the sightings on foot I had. Amazing. So the sighting I had on foot was yesterday when I saw the flower mantis. Huge. That insect is so pretty. It's more like white with green spots, well camouflaged. Also spotted by Heavy. I'm still searching. No giraffes, no elephants, no impalas in this block, no daycare. And I saw this one big warthog, male warthog. Yo, that thing was massive. You can think when you see the warthogs in the screen, in your screens, you can think that the warthogs, they grow smaller. These guys, they can grow big. So while I'm still foraging, searching for interesting stuff, let's go to Ellie, who's also foraging.
We're having a bit of trouble getting hold of the bushwhack guys on the radio, but it seems like the tracks of the wild dogs are steadily heading west. So we're just gonna go up Philemon's Step and see if we can find anything around there. We were switched off for a little bit, so we couldn't really hear anything. But if the wild dogs are on the move and on their own, chances are that they're not gonna be making too much noise. So let's go around here, see if maybe we can find something around here. I can't even hear where they're saying that they're heading, but we're gonna... Apparently the tracks are heading towards quarantine. So we're gonna try to go there a little bit quicker, see if maybe we can get the dogs. Oh. And I can see the bushwalk team. Maybe we'll get a bit of an update from them, and then we'll be able to go up there. Alrighty. Hi guys. Are your trucks going that way? Okay. Alright, well, I'm gonna go out that way. Okay, bye. Alrighty, so the bushwhack team has done a very good job in finding them. You can see the tracks, actually, as I mentioned, on the road. And it seems like they've slowly but surely started heading all the way up to quarantine. So I want to try and get there as quickly as possible. Hopefully we'll be able to have a look at them. I'm not too sure if anyone drove down this road this morning, but there's a good chance that Tolly or Trishala did, in which case it would seem like the dog tracks are on top of everybody else's tracks. So they've been moving around while we've been moving around. So hopefully they'll be somewhere around quarantine. This is what I'm hoping. They could have gone into another road or they could have gone into the bush, but let's try our luck. I can't see any more dog tracks on the road, but that doesn't mean that they didn't go all the way up or carried on running on the bushes all the way towards quarantine. So let's keep a good mind. Hopefully we'll be able to see them around here and we'll see anything. At least we've given it a good try and we know that they've been around. It's not too sure which pack it could be. Let's see. Okay, I see an impala that way, and the impala is not running away. Any tracks around here? Come. You only need one track to be able to have a look at things. Okay, cannot see anything around here, but I'm gonna go around this way, cover a bit more ground. Come on, dogs, we've got 1 minute. Come on, puppies. Ooh, the adrenaline. It almost feels like a game. We have to find them at least for one last look. Although it seems like we're going to have to leave this mission for this afternoon. I mean, we've had a very exciting morning altogether. So hopefully they'll be around. There's a good chance that the dogs will also settle for the day with this heat and that they won't be moving around. So if their tracks were headed towards quarantine, good chance that they're actually going to settle somewhere around here and they won't be moving around, which would give us a good chance to try and find them again this afternoon, which is what I'm hoping for, because it'll be very nice to have dogs again. Well, we haven't seen them. I think the last time was that time with Jamie, so it will be wonderful to actually see them. And then, of course, there's little Tlalamba that's been hanging around the same spot, so we're going to try for her as well in the afternoon. Maybe she'll be around. Hyena then is there, so we know what to look for. And, of course, the lions seem to be too fat to want to move around. So, all in all, I think we've had a good morning, and we have what looks to be a promising afternoon. So, hopefully, we'll be able to have all the animals around. Ooh, seems like there's a bit of traffic here, so I'm going to get out of the way. Alrighty guys, so sorry. Okay, nothing around here. Seems like everything's pretty quiet all around. Alright, seems like our morning is done. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch you on the Sunset Safari.